I fell off of a dinosaur fence.
Oh, I heard it. I heard that happened already.
Oh, he said it's classic line.
If you say I fell off a dinosaur fence, that's your combo breaker.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mine
What
is
combo am I breaking?
the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, it's your fault this is over.
The meme combo?
Yeah. If we just keep talking about stupid shit and someone says baboo or video games or I fall off a dinosaur fence, the words that were there jiggle and fall off the screen in sad time, and then you can kick the shit out of someone.
I like it.
Yeah. It's July 24th, 2010, and this is the Out of Thumbs Podcast, episode 10.
And I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Steve Gaynor.
And I'm Jake Rodkin.
And today, also here, is famous Vanaman, Sean, our friend. Hey.
Hey, Chris.
That's always how I think of him.
That's true. How's
Famous
it going?
Vanaman Sean, comma, our friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a whole bunch of noun reorganization there that caught me by surprise.
Yeah, well, always mixing it up on the Idle Thumbs podcast
Episode 10.
about video games.
Is that what this one's about?
Like most, it is.
So let's talk about those.
Yeah. I was, I haven't beat it yet, but before you guys got here, I was playing Limbo. And a little bit after you got here.
So you were lost in Limbo?
I was lost in Limbo. But
like when you go into Five Dreams.
I just thought that Steve was holding a pole up and Chris was dancing underneath of it, but go on.
well, that was
Different kind of Limbo.
before I started playing Limbo.
Well, Steve is like 9 feet tall, so
That's true.
He works as a human limbo.
Anyway,
pole.
you were a shadowy boy with eyes that glimmer like the moon.
You
But
shouldn't
I
play
didn't- I
Limbo
haven't
with a
completed the
shadowy
game
boy
yet,
with eyes.
But
Like
Steve
Limbo.
Gaynor has.
I did finish Limbo
Maybe you
today.
could give an opinion of it.
I both started and finished Limbo today. I was
That
really...
seems counter to the nature of Limbo.
It's not the way you're thinking. It's not the way you're thinking.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Different kind of Limbo. This one's a video game on Xbox Live.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And it's a short game. I mean, I don't know, not that short. It probably took me about 4 hours, probably something like that. I would say it's pretty close in length to like Portal, you know. And I was really impressed by it. I mean, if you don't know much about it, it's a platformer, and it seems like its biggest influence is Out of This World / Another
sure.
World, the Eric Chahi game from the early 90s, and it's just a really minimalist, like super moody, very Scandinavian
2D side scroller.
2D side scroller, yeah, that's download only, and basically you play as a kid that navigates this really spooky, desolate
Limbo.
version of, you know, like you start out in the woods and you kind of navigate it, and I don't know, I found it really engaging because it's one of those games where it doesn't hand anything to you, no tutorialization, nothing, you know, it's a 2-button game and you just kind of start exploring how it works.
Yeah,
and
I really like that.
find your own way, and it's really backed up by how light the presentation is. I mean, it's a very dark game tonally, but like everything's just silhouettes and there's almost no music. You know, it's like the most probably restrained game that I've played in a really long time.
Yeah.
Which is impressive to me, just to see something that doesn't hit you over the head with anything at all, you know.
There's not even a word. There's not even a single printed word on screen at all any time. I mean,
There's the main menu.
that's true, Jake. There is
Which
the
is
main
very
menu.
nice looking.
It is.
Very clean and also nice. But once you're in the game, it's never... Not once, right? I mean, as far as I could tell.
No, not that I saw.
Just a dude.
Yep. It never like prompts you that you can
And you can jump
use
and grab.
a thing or whatever. Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean it has the core mechanics of a Prince of Persia or Out of This World, where you jump, you can mantle up on things, you can swing from ropes, and you basically just go through this really kind of foreboding silhouette world and it's
puzzles.
And it's a lot of physics puzzles mainly. You know, like the world is set up so that maybe, you know, you have to knock a tree trunk over to get across a gap, or a giant boulder starts rolling towards you or whatever.
It's all one-off stuff as well, isn't it? It's not the art all sort of gives the impression, at least, of being built to exist once. It's not I mean, if it is, they hide it well that it's if it's tile based.
No, it's I don't know. I mean, there are certain objects that repeat themselves because they're like kind of a systemic
right, but I
object.
guess like out of this world though, it feels like
Yeah.
you're seeing a thing through in a linear order. That
Yeah.
Yeah,
is
like
unique
a
space.
camera is panning across the landscape as opposed to
Yeah.
this is the same
Yeah,
ground tile.
Yeah, you're always panning across. You're always exploring unique spaces, and it's sort of like it has kind of a serialized language where it's sort of like you're introduced to this one unique object. Like for instance, there's a bear trap early on, and there's sort of a section of maybe 20 minutes or something where you do a few different things with bear traps.
It's the bear trap world basically that you're in. At that
Yeah,
part?
sort of, and then the bear traps don't appear anymore, and there's some other new mechanic that you have to get used to.
Is that by virtue of you not being in the forest anymore after that? Because I kind of like that they would just section off that mechanic to like, oh, this object exists in this place in our minds, obviously.
Yeah,
You're not going to find a bear trap in the city.
right?
And if you do, that is not good.
It's a little weird.
Usually,
No, yeah, I mean, that's that. I will say I like the beginning of the game, kind of like the first act more or less, more than the rest of it, because it has this really. I thought that the style and the subject matter lent itself to where you start, which is like the woods, and then
I totally agree with you.
yeah, as you're going through it, I don't know, it has this.
that like helicopter rooftop battle later on. It's a little weird.
Well, it's sort of like Flower, wherein you just start out in a field and everything, and then they start to introduce more like man-made structures and stuff, and it just doesn't feel as natural.
Right, you start in the amazing pitch world, and then you eventually find the fleshed out video game. That's how I felt about Flower, at least.
Well, you started in their
I don't
vertical
think
slice.
Limbo's so much like that.
Yeah,
though.
Okay.
it's
It
less
seems-
about mechanical complexity,
Yeah.
which it's nice that they ramp up. It's more about it feels.
I mean,
less...
like they say, here's like all the original art that the guy was like charcoal penciling up was probably all a kid in the forest, and they're like, oh fuck, we need at least like 6 distinct zones. I don't know if this game actually thought about that, but that they probably did.
I don't know. It just feels like it kind of. It is about the stuff that happens in kind of the first third of the game where you start out, and I don't know. It feels really effective to me because it reminded me of how Miyamoto in interviews has said that like Zelda
that's
is
exactly what I was
about exploring caves when he was a kid, but then this really directly addresses the feeling of being a kid and being out in the woods on your own and all of the like imagined danger, and you feel like you're in this really mysterious space, and in the game they make it really oppressive and kind of scary, like you feel when you're in like a unknown location when you're a child.
I remember when I was a kid having kind of occasional revelatory moments where I'd be doing something that I didn't. This was mainly when I was a really young kid and I was living in New York, and we lived like in not in New York City, but just outside the city, and there were woods nearby where we lived, and I would have these situations where I would I'd be on a there'd be like these ancient fucking stone steps that would go down into a forest, and there'd be like a creek nearby, and I would slip on something and I'd fall and I'd like scrape my arm, and then I would look around and I'd realize like, oh my God, if I had slipped like a few more inches this way, I probably would have smashed my head against this like jagged rock. I mean, when I think back, it's actually terrifying, some of the stuff that kids do and narrowly avoid death or grave injury.
Yeah.
And the early way that that Limbo introduces you to the just kind of unexpected suddenness of death. Like in Limbo, I mean, it's one of those games. It doesn't feel like a really brutal game in the same way that Another World or Prince of Persia 1 is, but it's got that same thing where it's like, oh, you did this and you like didn't make it and you fell into the spikes, dead, done, try again. Like it's it's got
you
this
get
very
fucking impaled. It's
Yeah.
just like blurp, you're gone.
and it was especially the first couple times that when you were first kind of going through and seeing the different ways you could die. I mean, it sounds morbid to say it that way, but I mean, it's particularly effective those first few times when because you don't expect that. Every game handles death and respawning and everything else totally differently, and the way that this one does it is very stark and understated and surprising.
It's pretty forgiving about you dying, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's forgiving in the sense that you go back to a
Right. I mean, the actual death like animations are horrible, but then it just goes boop, and you're just back 6 feet or whatever.
The
Yeah.
respawning is very forgiving, which is nice.
That's cool. Like in Prince of Persia, when you die,
it's
it was
horrible,
always awesome, but then you were fucked.
You're totally screwed.
No, this one is much more. It reminded me a lot of Niflis's games like Nit and stuff like that, where they're just like respawn points everywhere, and if you die, you only go back far enough that you have to try again the thing that just killed you. So it's nice on that front. But yeah, it reminded me of the same thing where like when I was growing up, there was a woods behind our house, and there was this one part of the woods that had all these like really big thick thorn bushes in it. And when I was a kid, at some point, we like kind of, I forget what we had, but we kind of like got, I don't know, somehow we were like kind of cutting through the thorn bushes, like me and a friend of mine, and kind of like navigating them and seeing what was in them, and like in reality it was probably 18 by 18 feet of brambles or something, but as a kid it felt like we were going
like exploration.
Yeah, we were going through this fucking labyrinth of like insanely just like twisting vines that we didn't know what would be back there or whatever, and it feels like like Limbo does a great job of putting you in the mindset by making all of those dangers real and making all of the threats oversized. Like the first thing that you encounter that is a real direct threat to you that's not the environment.
I would avoid trying to spoil too much stuff just because I like the feeling.
I don't know.
Well, sure, but I mean,
but
the like coolness of encountering that would have been equal to me if I'd played the demo first. But
So anyway, it basically scales everything up and makes you feel very small and like you're navigating a world that is towering over you. Yeah, and it's great.
Totally.
And later on, there's sort of they introduce this kind of like Lord of the Flies vibe that I found really interesting. That also I think spoke to kind of when you're a kid, and especially if you're not like a cool popular kid and you feel threatened by other kids, and again they kind of externalize that in this game through the mechanics. I found it really interesting. That kind of peters out about halfway through, and you do get into more like city environments and stuff, and it feels less native to that, but it remains a really, really impressive game all the way to the end.
I think
it's my favorite game of the year so far. I mean, it's the only one that is really, really memorable to me. It stands out as a awesome piece of work.
It's a Gainer Goatee.
Why don't we just call it the Gainer Goatee?
I think that's
winner.
It's been coined.
It's coined?
Yeah, the Gainer Goatee.
Yeah.
Ugh, I don't want to see that trophy. I don't.
The Goatee Galunga. What else we got going on? Limbo's a cool game. You guys should play it.
Yeah.
It's on Xbox.
The Summer of Arcade.
Yeah, it's a Summer of Arcade special.
Valve put out that free game.
Oh yeah,
Alien Swarm.
Great.
I played a little bit of that, but not tons.
Yeah, we played like a half hour.
We played Jake and I played a couple missions.
Is it cool?
With the list of the reader.
It seems cool based on what I played.
Today.
I downloaded it.
I wish that I had played the original because I want to know what changed after they started working at Valve.
Yeah,
because it does kind of feel like it feels like many of Valve's games, but then Smash TV is inserted into the mix basically because it has the 4-player co-op thing that feels kind of like Left 4 Dead, and it also hilariously has the exact Left 4 Dead like film filter that starts showing up when things go to shit, which is totally hilarious.
Noticed that comment. I was like, oh, Left 4 Dead
like,
film grain.
Oh god, I bet aliens are nearby because the film grain guy has turned up the grain.
Yeah.
But they're also
did you guys see there's an option to select the music you want to play when it goes into like crazy combat mode?
No.
Some people just put like Yakety sax in there and shit. Like,
Really?
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
best fucking thing.
Because when
like the
somebody
theme from
drops that
Family
adrenaline,
Matters.
right? That's amazing.
I like that.
It also has
doing
things
that
like
theme from Family
you can
Matters.
basically play as a medic or an engineer. And
theme from Hey Dude on Nickelodeon.
Hey,
watch out for those man-eating jackrabbits. Killer
That'd be
cacti.
a long combat encounter if you got all the way to that point. Yeah.
That's true. Well, that's like, I guess if the combat encounter goes to the full 60 seconds of that intro.
Yeah, if you're assuming that we're using the original long form of the Hey Dude intro,
and not the club remix.
The studio
I've got
track,
a folder
not the edit for TV.
on my computer. I've got all the different versions, so I'll sort through. I'll find out which one's most optimal.
Yeah. But it's cool. I mean, it has a class-based thing where you sort of pick what you want, and then
this is Jake Rodkin talking about a video game. This is
I'm just letting him go.
I've
really
only played for like a half
excited
hour, but I want to play more.
It is a team-based Valve video game. That's the kind he plays.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
true, yeah.
Well, also this one was free.
They usually have to say
Yeah.
team in the title too, but
And
they didn't accept
yeah,
them for
I
this.
thought that this
and
was
2, you're right.
Yeah, I thought this was the sequel or the Fortress edition, but no. I don't remember what I was saying now. It's Alien Swarm Fortress 2 for Dead
The Reckoning,
Origins.
Dark Fortress.
Motherfucker! You guys
Dwarf
called me
Fortress?
out for talking about a game, and now I don't want to anymore.
Oh,
You
Oh,
were,
just-
you were
I-
talking about being able to play other classes.
It has a class system. It has a weapon like sort of arsenal that you build up as you level up because you also level up. So there's certain weapons that are only available to certain classes.
leveling up
but
felt really good. Just kind of like nice rewards and
yeah, I got
achievements
a shotgun.
were tied to EXP, which
But,
is something that isn't generally
the way that it works out
Valve game.
is fairly nice. I haven't played an overhead like murder everyone sort of like gauntlet style thing before that also where what you play as actually matters. So like the medic will sort of drop a team med kit, and then a sphere of healing opens up, and everyone can fight from within that for a little while. Or you end up on like the elevator, the classic video game elevator that's going down. I guess it's like also the classic Valve elevator.
Yeah, Valve loves elevators.
That's descending for a while, so they can throw 1,000 aliens at you.
Your hand
and then,
is doing the diagonal Half-Life.
Yeah, it is.
elevator.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the
Well,
elevator.
that's what it is in Alien Swarm.
Yeah, the
Also
Alien
from
Swarm elevator
Akira.
is
Is that
it's that
elevator.
exact
Yeah.
encounter
Yeah.
from Half-Life, except that there's 4 guys. But it's actually pretty.
Head crabs are bouncing down.
They
a ramp
basically look
towards
like
you.
head crabs as well.
Yeah, and they're giant head crabs the size of like
But,
Labradors.
Although, and then
Hilarious.
you can, there's a console command to go into first-person mode, and then they look like even bigger fucking.
Yeah, I
head
saw that.
crabs.
The first person
that's
mode actually
hilarious.
looks really good.
It does look really nice. 'Cause,
I-
I think it's mainly just, asset level that they'd put in a source
Yeah.
game.
I feel like I
generally.
would like to play that in first person just from seeing the video of it. It looked like
I didn't
it
know
was
you could
totally
do that.
playable.
What
I haven't considered that, but I would try it.
Have you guys noticed some of the interiors look a lot like the color palettes and lighting in Mirror's Edge? I thought that was really cool. Like,
they
a lot of
do
them have
really
those-
sort of like I mean I
those
saw that we
two-tone
would go
like
into
white and
rooms,
red or
yeah.
white and yellow or
Yeah,
white and
everything-
blue rooms.
I did
That
see
stuff
that, yeah.
looks so
I mean,
awesome.
when it's in a sci-fi environment, it's less surprising to me than in Mirror's Edge. But
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know of a lot of games that look like that even in a sci-fi environment.
that's true.
I like those strong primary colors because usually video game sci-fi means cool blue or gray or
That's
something.
true.
Cool blue
it's
and brown, dark.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I was thinking about Dead Space. Sorry,
Cool
That game
blue
was-
and brown.
cool blue and brown.
That game was really brown. A lot
Dead
of the-
Space was really brown.
Yeah.
Man, I was at
Brown and gray.
I was at
Get
E3.
it done.
I don't know if this is the kind of thing I should say on a podcast, but
Let's find out.
I was at E3 and I saw a bunch of EA demos, most of which look really good actually. But I also saw Dead Space 2, which like
That was a really good comparison
yeah.
there.
it's not quite what I
I
meant.
saw all this great stuff, and then
Well, like so, I was in there
Steve
watching.
almost did a spit take at that. That
yeah,
was
that
I
was
hadn't
almost
drunk yet.
an end of the podcast.
And it almost
was
went
like
all
all over the mixer.
glass reverb. Anyway,
This would have been you making that noise and go on.
So I was in the I was in the little all of VA's all these demos were in little behind closed doors areas. So I was in another group of people in the room watching the Dead Space 2, and I was watching it, and it was just like fucking Isaac dude with like more
Isaac dude
plates
is his
of metal
name.
on his face, shooting aliens,
More
and then an
metal.
alien like
He had a
grabs
lot
him
of
or whatever,
metal
and he
on
shoots it, and he goes, and it I mean it looked
Brown?
fun if you like Dead Space. I mean which I did. I enjoyed Dead Space, but it was like it was definitely a sequel. It was definitely brown. And I got out of the room, and an EA PR person was like, hey Chris, and I'm like, oh hey, what's up? And she's like, I haven't seen you in a while. What'd you think of the game? And I'm like, oh, She's like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, oh, Dead Space 2. She's like, any words of wisdom? I mean, what'd you think? Did it look good? And I was like, well, it was definitely more Dead Space. See ya. And then it was just like the most awkward 5 seconds. I was like, bye. It was a horrible moment.
Oh, interactions.
Yep.
They're hard
That
sometimes,
happens
aren't
sometimes.
they,
Yeah, they are sometimes.
I know.
I know a lot of PR people who are really nice and really cool, and I don't dislike any of them really. I mean, pretty much all the PR people I deal with are really nice, and I like. But it's weird when you have hey, I want your opinion on this thing that I'm paid to promote,
Chris? Yeah.
and
Well,
also we're buddies, kind of. What?
Well, did you not want to say? Well, you could make it less brown. I don't know. Was there nothing you could say about
that actually wasn't even what occurred to me.
Oh.
It wasn't. I mean, because I really
you could put less plates on his
what
face.
occurred to me was just Dead Space again.
Yeah. It's more of Dead Space.
Which includes brown, but brown wasn't the.
Oh, okay. That
thing
wasn't the
came to
problem.
us.
Did
Sorry.
they bring over the paid
I
wing
misconstrued
guy
your
from
saying.
Yeah, sorry about that.
from Dead Space Extraction?
Oh,
The Necroflyer.
Hilarious,
The
like,
Necroflyer.
upside,
Yeah.
yeah.
Does this game feature Necroflyers?
I
Did
don't
you
know.
ask?
That's a good question. I should have asked. I didn't ask.
That guy's haircut is tight.
Yeah.
It's parted in the middle.
It was definitely weird.
I'm just picturing him with his
sad
Necroflyer
boss from
arm
a
with
modern indie
comb.
drama.
Sorry, Steve and I were miming combing the Necroflyer's hair.
That doesn't come through with the
Necroflyers.
readers.
My impression of Necroflyer is comb your hair in the middle.
You'll see.
Comb your hair in the middle.
You'll see, Sean, when you play Dead Space Extraction on your Wii.
Oh, it's on my stack.
Okay.
Is it really?
No.
Oh,
no,
that's
no.
surprising.
There's a couple,
It was well received.
but
Was it?
I have games
Yeah.
in the mix right now.
Cool.
But it's not in that mix.
So, Alien Swarm, you recommend to play it for free?
it's a free game.
it
And
worth
what's
the
funny is when you're playing
value?
it and you start to be like, oh yeah, like
Right, you can sort of see its modness show up occasionally, but then it's like, fuck that.
Well, not
It's
even that. Just like I'm
free.
like, oh, like this is like you start looking at it through the same lens in which you'd pay for a game, and that's stupid. Like I forget, you don't really get a lot of free games from publishers saying, hey, here's a cool thing that we built.
Yeah,
and it
pretty
costs
much
us a lot of
never.
money.
Maybe occasionally you get like.
Well,
a
you
free
do, and then
level.
they're like, sign up for a credit card and get points that you can
Buy all
spend
our
for
DLC.
in-game world currency.
Yeah.
Free to play microtransactions.
It does make
Oh,
me
yeah.
wonder if Valve has plans for this game at all, because it seems, I mean, if you think Counter-Strike started like this,
Yeah.
Team Fortress started like this, I guess those are the two. No, because
Dave Defeat.
Defeat and Ricochet.
I mean, maybe that's what. Maybe they are planning, like,
'Cause,
maybe they have something along the lines of Alien Swarm 2 in full production. So they're like,
Yeah.
we should release this thing so people get psyched about paying for the one that we're really
Right, because I mean,
working on.
Valve can't be like, "Oh, our team made this Unreal Engine game that we're putting on Steam." I don't think that would be the way they would do that.
Yeah. So look
It's
for
cool, though.
Alien
It
Swarm
feels-
2. We just announced it on the Idle Thumbs podcast.
Sweet.
But yeah, it's fun.
And it feels like, I mean,
I would
more.
play
And it feels like, I mean, the same thing can be said for TF. Like the classes are so hyper distinct. Like it really felt like that medic was a very like just doing a medic thing as opposed to
A guy
somebody
that can shoot things.
Yeah,
and
a
also
soldier
has
with a
health
slightly
kit,
different
kind of.
spec.
There were very few
Yeah.
times when we actually successfully, like when the engineer had a turret up and the medic had sort of deployed the health thingy,
God,
and
we
we
were
were battling
wrecking
off just
shop. It was so
hundreds
fun.
of dudes or
That was
whatever.
really
It was
fun.
good. It was a real game.
Yeah.
Anyway, video games.
It kind of makes me wonder if that would be a positive addition or not to like the next Left 4 Dead thing they do, because basically all four Left 4
you could
Dead
deploy
people.
turrets?
Yeah.
Well, no, all
classes.
Yeah, all four Left 4 Dead people are pretty much exactly the same, except maybe you picked up an adrenaline spike. But like, you know, I could see Left 4 Dead where you essentially pick a class or a subclass as being
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I think
you know,
that'd be
as opposed to
amazing.
we're
Yeah,
just
that's-
four dudes that run around and pick different guns, maybe.
There are like in this game there are like when someone dies or occasionally just in the world there are drops, and depending on your class, like there's the Venn diagram seems pretty forgiving for who can pick up what stuff, but obviously like if there is a group med kit, only the medic can pick that up, whereas I think most people can pick up an auto pistol or whatever. So
But when I got that armor at the end of that first level, you couldn't put that on, right?
I don't think I could. No.
Oh, see, I had that on.
Yeah, I think that because
that was
that's
nice.
that's what's interesting in Versus in Left 4 Dead is that, you know, the infected are
Yeah.
very different from one another, and then when you're
yeah.
playing as a survivor, you can kind of prioritize who you should go after based on like, oh, that guy's a boomer and he's there and I need to deal with him differently. I wonder if that stuff coming onto the survivor side would
Yeah, that might be
be good.
interesting.
I don't know.
Oh,
Valve
like that
is-
guy can drop a turret.
Valve is
That shoots
probably
missiles.
investigating this.
Yeah, it would definitely. They would definitely have to adjust the tuning of the balance between the two sides, because in Left 4 Dead it's such a huge fucking deal when someone dies or is incapacitated, and if that
Was your
If-
medic or
Yeah.
Right,
something.
if you lose your medic, like
yeah,
And that's why I wonder if they would ever do that, and maybe like Alien Storm's ability for them to make that class-based game, as opposed. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really know if that's what like.
the
Feels like
thing is
Left 4
that you're
Dead is
kind
about
of-
being a person,
You're kind of describing
which I like.
Alien Swarm kind of as, at least to me, sounding like a top-down Left 4 Dead, but with classes, and it makes me wonder, you know.
Yeah,
I don't
That's
know,
exactly
Like
what
what is the penalty for death in
Yeah,
Alien Swarm compared to
you
Left 4
die.
Dead?
you're out.
for the.
I think you're out until your teammates complete that leg of the mission, then you come back.
Kind of like a safe house?
Yeah, but there's
Sure.
no closet rescue in this game.
But if you die like 5 seconds in, you're sitting.
Yeah,
Like,
which
yeah.
sucks. Oh, also this game has force-friendly fire, which makes it weird.
Yeah.
And it definitely makes top-down, like all the guns have really long laser sights, so you basically always see if you're going to fuck people up.
Yeah.
But it makes
that
it
doesn't
terrifying.
stop people from
No, people get
no.
shot.
friendly
but
fire.
shot each other a lot. at
The
the
sound for hitting a guy actually, there's a, I don't know, both successful hits and teammate hits are like low-frequency festivals. If you're playing with in headphones, your brain just goes, when, oh shit, I'm sorry. My brain just pulsed because I shot you in the face.
Yeah.
Also, they penalize you for reloading when your clip is
Yeah,
not
when you
empty,
reload, your guy actually
which
drops the clip on the
is
ground, which is
torturous for me.
It's so good though.
My,
I love
it's
that.
I love
good.
that, yeah.
I got it.
No,
I know.
it's good,
I,
but my
right, it's the
instinct.
First thing you
so many
said.
shots out with the minigun, and then it's like you just wasted a clip. Like, no, my 200
Yeah.
shots. Like,
that's
that's thrown to the
ba-
ground.
yeah.
That's honestly one of my like sort of pet peeves, or just things that I wish people would actually think about or try something different with more in games.
Meet the
'cause
swarm.
Well, because there's so much shooting in games, and almost no games treat a gun like an actual gun. You know, it's like I magically put 3 bullets in my clip. You know, like So it's I really appreciate it when a game is like, no, we're actually going to make it so if you drop your clip, you just burned those 50 shots that were in your assault rifle magazine or whatever.
It makes you play the game.
Have you guys
differently
seen?
too, which I like.
I forget exactly what it's called, but I just saw this for the first time a few days ago. I think actually Patrick Redding from Far Cry 2 team linked it on his Twitter. I forget what it's called. It's something with the Internet Movie Gun Database or something, and it's this huge wiki that catalogs, to the extent that they have achieved this goal so far, every use of guns in movies and video games. And
video games.
And video games, yeah. Wow. And so, you can look up any gun model, and it'll list all the places it's been, or you can look up any movie or video game, and it will have all the guns in it, and, like, a huge amount of documentation. Like, I was linked by Patrick Redding to the Far Cry 2 page on this site, and it's just, I don't know. I don't know jack shit about guns. Like, I don't know anything about guns, but I was just sitting there reading through this page. It's fucking hilarious and crazy. Like, they will just take, like, frame-by-frame pictures of, like, the reload animations and the jam animations and the misfire animations.
Do they have the idle animations where the guy feels the compulsion to, like, look at his gun and watch the specular hit it, drop the clip out and sort of put it back in and stuff?
They'll use animations like that as ways to, like, further criticize the implementation. They'll be like, Jack, for some strange reason, looks at the ejection port that shouldn't be on that side of the gun. It's like that kind of shit. It's really weird and funny, and I got, in a Wikipedia-like way, sucked into hours of
I bet the number one page on that wiki is Decker's gun from Blade Runner.
I was going to say it's
really?
the BFG 9000.
What is significant about it?
Or possibly the...
Well, no, it's only real guns.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I guess
then it's not. Then there's no blasters.
Yeah. No, I mean a lot of
because my assumption would be the second one was whatever the auto rifle from Aliens. I don't know. They're just guns that
maybe
nerds
they have fictional
like.
ones, but it seems to be focused on real ones. And then most video games don't use real ones; they use fake ones that are heavily based on real ones, I guess. And so they say like, "This is clearly based on this," and then they have the reasons why it's wrong.
The Beretta 9mm.
Yeah.
Copyrights.
So that's a weird thing. Speaking of free games, have any of you guys played Moonbase Alpha?
I haven't tried it.
I'm sure you played the fuck out of Moonbase Alpha.
I've actually only played it once.
Chris, you love
the moon
so
much. Do you like
much,
things
though.
that take place on the moon?
It's a little known fact. I enjoy the moon and things set on the moon.
Why choose the moon? Why do we choose this as our goal?
Not because it's easy.
Chris,
No.
Moon.
Because it's hard to make video games.
It is hard to make games.
Moonbase Alpha is a free...
We choose to make games not about the moon, not because it is easy, but because making games is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
That's what he said.
Why
does Rice play Texas?
I don't know what any of the quotes you guys are talking
That's
about.
John F. Kennedy.
John F. Goddamn Kennedy.
He says
Going to
making
the
games is
fucking
hard.
Going to the moon. Why climb the highest mountain?
Why does Rice play Texas?
Why 35 years ago fly the Atlantic? He's got to get that little Boston thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Anyway, that was the
So
moon.
that's the opening cutscene is set to that speech, right?
Man, that should have been actually, but it's not.
Oh man.
Yeah, missed opportunity.
Well, it
But-
just would have made people feel bad that what they were actually doing was sitting at their computer pretending to be on the moon.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
See, it just made Jake feel bad right then. He hasn't even played it.
But it's a
So
cooperative...
you chose to go to the moon.
I chose to go to the moon in a video game. It's a cooperative multiplayer game where you go up onto the moon and you, like your moon base is...
Alpha.
There are problems with it and you have to fix it.
I want the comedy version of this moon-based beta that is just like the slacker astronauts, like getting drunk.
Well,
and
that's
stuff.
kind of what it's like sometimes, actually.
Go on. You were saying that you didn't even look up how any of it worked or know how to do anything,
so I went
right?
into so this is the reason I've only played this once. I had this really singular. I'll probably go back and play it again, but I had this really awesome like singular experience with this game where I loaded. All I knew about it was that it was on the moon and it was called Moonbase Alpha and it was about a moon base. And I'm like, all right, that sounds pretty good to me. I didn't realize it was purely multiplayer, and so I just went online and just joined, whatever server had people but wasn't totally full.
Because it's 4 players maximum, right? Or 6?
I think it's more than I think it's 6, yeah.
Okay.
Or 8 maybe. I don't even remember. But anyway, it's
a lot of people on the moon.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people on the moon, and so I went in there, and I had no idea what was going on, and I joined in with these
started
people.
pantsing people.
Yes, and
you fragged a guy and then teabagged him.
and started kneeling on his face.
You're like, this isn't what this game is about, Chris.
Like, I'm teabagging on the moon,
and
bitch.
they sent you. Well, that's Shattered Horizon, I think.
That's true.
Oh, Shattered Horizon is I'm teabagging you on the moon, bitch.
Yeah.
Rising.
Rising.
So Moonbase Alpha Rising.
Vengeance.
So what happened on the moon, Chris?
Well, so I went in, and immediately everything is really slow. I mean, it's
like moon speed.
It's like being on the moon, and you jump and you get that little cool slow motion, low
Did you
gravity
skip around
thing.
like an
Little
astronaut?
hop.
Yeah,
Do a little hop.
and so I was
Hit a
just,
golf ball.
I started off at the beginning, and I was the context for this game makes no real sense because
You're on the moon.
well, because you're on the moon, but because you're not, there's no tutorial or training or anything, and so
Like Limbo.
they just sort of put you right in the middle of like crazy crisis on Moonbase
Yeah.
Alpha.
You're
and
an
I'm like,
expert
oh, shit.
astronaut.
Yeah,
Take
go,
our word
go
for
fix
it.
the Moonbase.
The
And
sequel
so-
should also be called Crazy Crisis on Moonbase Alpha. Also, 'cause
Well, they're making an MMO.
That's the Choose Your Own Adventure book.
This is like their proof of concept for the MMO that they're also working on.
who's making this?
NASA.
Yeah, what are its
Is,
origins?
like consulting on
Origins?
it in
Origins?
collaboration with the America's Army team and some other group that I don't remember.
Sweet.
Our government's fucking making a lot of games.
I know it's weird.
Stop it.
People like
them. And so I went in and I was going around,
Questionable
and
young
everyone
man.
else on the
I
team,
would
or at
love
least
to be an astronaut.
most of the people on the team,
Too late.
had
No, it's not.
like mics and headsets, and
The other guys were astronauts.
they were fucking. They knew what they were doing, and they were going around and they were like, "All right, guys, all right, let's get over here. Oh shit, we're stranded over here." And I was just kind of walking around, and I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Sweet
And
Moonbase,
yeah, I was
guys.
just like, "Moon, I'm on the fucking moon." And I went over to a little like briefcase thing, and it was like,
That's
deploy.
the air supply.
It was like deploy robot, and I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" And so like you unfold this little briefcase, and it like turns into a little stand, and then a robot comes out.
Little Johnny
and you,
Five comes out.
You control the robot
alive?
remotely, like through a
thinks he is.
a screen with a little joystick control in the game, and you just go into first person mode with the robot, or I forget if it's first or third person, but you control the robot.
So you're in robot mode.
Yeah, and you go around and you can be either a welder robot or something else. And
There's a
cool,
class
I'm gonna be,
system
I'm
for the
gonna be a
robots?
welder robot. No, they're just totally two different robots, and that's it.
Oh.
And you go and like you can fix little
Change that to DLC.
like pipes and stuff with your welding eye or whatever torch,
Your welding eye.
my welding eye, and
You have a laser eye like Kano from Mortal Kombat.
yeah. And so I was going around, and then
like that.
after a certain point, like after a few minutes of me just like dicking around on the moon, my the other guys on the moon base, my co-Moonbase proprietors, started to be like, "Oh shit! Oh god, we're stranded. Where's that other guy? Get over here! Come help us!
I will
Help,
drive the
come
robot
help."
to you.
No. And so I'm like, but I couldn't figure out how to get over there because there were all these pipes in the way, and I was just a little robot.
So you're like,
and I
"I'll
couldn't get
weld my
over-
way through
I'm
these
just
pipes."
like, no, I was just like going around like fixing the. I'm like, well, I can still help in a different way. I'll just like fix the air pipes, and so I just like roll up to a little like rupture in a like an air tube thing, and like sit there and weld it. And there's a little mini game you play where you
Right.
like weld the thing together, and then it goes, and it's like bing, and it's like you've succeeded, and I'm like great. And then I'm like, oh, there's another one over there. Roll, weld. Meanwhile, in the background, my friends are like, we're seriously like stranded over here. Where's that other fucking guy? What is going on? Like, why? Where is he? We need help. And I had no idea. Like, I didn't have a voice communication thing. I didn't know what kind of help they needed. I didn't even know like what they were describing. And so basically, what happened on the moon was like. These guys were fucked. They were like running out of air or something on the other side of the goddamn moon. They were dying. Their other teammate was just sort of standing comatose, like next to a table. And then the only like sentient creature with any amount of control was just this little like worker welder robot, just like happily like roaming around the moon, like welding together little pipes. It was this like crazy, like desolate sci-fi nightmare where it's just like the machines that have been created.
Are
to,
just
like,
going
help-
on like
are
there's no
just like
problem.
like obliviously doing their task.
Leak detected.
Yeah,
No, robot, no.
Yeah, exactly. And then eventually,
fixed. Right.
we lost. It was good. It was a really enjoyable, like awesome sci-fi moon experience. That was probably not the one the developers intended, but it was a pretty good.
Did you have to put in your real name when you signed up for this? Because if so, you're probably blacklisted from all future NASA missions.
Well, my Steam name, it's a Steam game, and so it uses Steamworks, and my Steam name is just Chris Remo.
Oh yeah, you've been cross-indexed.
Yeah, you're not going to be on the moon in real life.
That
ever.
plus that time you checked out Catcher in the Rye means you're basically never going to space.
What?
I don't know.
Yeah,
What?
people
No.
know. Like in the 60s.
Are you talking about like McCarthy or something? What are you talking about?
No, you get put on a list. Like
They're like it's just books, library books that
then
you
like Lee Harvey Oswald have a copy or catch it.
Yeah, there's just this thing where certain books were flagged for
Yeah,
you were a
for
potential
moon?
risk and catch. No, not for the moon, just for like you might be a crazy gunman.
Yeah,
or,
like the Secret Service would be like, well, that guy's on the list. He checked out Mein Kampf or
right.
whatever.
Yeah. And Catcher in the Rye was one of those.
I see.
Which is weird,
The more you know.
considering
probably
I
on
was
the list
assigned
then, I
it in
guess.
high school
Right.
to read.
Considering
different
that
time.
That's true. It was.
back before
yeah.
they banned books in schools. Actually.
Moonbase was
I
pretty
just
sweet.
I just really like that sentiment. I can help in a different way.
Yeah.
That's what the robot is thinking.
Right.
I'm just picturing it's like,
When they get back, they'll be so pleased with this
Yeah.
welding.
It's just,
I'm doing so
it's
good.
so childlike and awesome. I'm just
Yeah,
picturing
exactly.
there's a bunch of people off the side of a boat like drowning, like save us, throw us a life raft, and the robot's like, I can help in a different way, and just starts like mopping up the deck. See, I'm
Exactly.
helping.
No, that's exactly the image that was in my
My
mind.
job is to
It's-
please.
it's even better on the moon though, because you get classic like images of astronauts behind their glass masks,
Right, just like the
screaming,
silent, like-
yeah, exactly, no sound
Against the glass. No, robot.
It was good. It was.
And then when they found out there was a fucking dude controlling the robot, the camera pans over 6 feet and it's you working the levers, actually. Of like,
Right.
hey guys, what's up? Just controlling this non-autonomous robot. Just mopping the floor like, fuck you.
oh man, also
These
I
guys will
forgot,
be
I
so
actually-
happy when they see that I made this robot clean this floor.
I also joined another game. I forgot. I didn't play very far in it, but I joined another one that reminded me of the time I was playing Halo 3, and it was just Neil Diamond Dance Party, like in the center of the map. And when I joined Moonbase, and it was guys just like in the moon rover, just like going like, yeah, woo, space jumps, yeah! I'm going off a sweet space ramp, and just like everything was space noun. It was pretty good. So that was my other like complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Were they
Moonbase
joking
Alpha.
about that?
Yeah, they were just,
They were just
fucking
having fun,
dicking around.
right?
Dude.
But,
Yeah,
like,
it was just,
were they actually ramping the
Right.
rover off?
Did
and
they
stuff?
think that the
Sweet.
notion of space ramp was funny, or did they just think it was badass?
I don't know. It was cool.
Yeah,
They
either
thought it was
way.
sweet. is the
Sweet
answer.
space ramp.
This sounds like
So-
a kind of game that will still be played by a
By,
very
like,
small group
100
of people
people,
yeah.
in like 10 years.
But they will
Right.
have they will have codified all of the fucking crazy
Yeah,
exactly,
rules.
and
yeah,
they will
right.
and there will be people who either were astronauts or worked for NASA. Because like okay, so our
Well, no,
Flight
but it'll
simulator
also
guys.
it'll be like the flight simulator guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
But you'll also have the guys who are just like professional moon-based sim players. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
there
our-
are flight sim guys like that.
yeah, our lead environment artist at 2K Marin was before he started doing art for video games,
An Apollo
airline
astronaut. Oh.
pilot. So he flew like 747s, and so he played. You know, he's played a bunch of. He loves flight sims, and he's played the one that he likes the best is like Falcon
4.0.
Yeah, probably yeah. And he's like, yeah, you'll play online, and the only guys that are still playing it online are guys who are actual fighter jet pilots.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And like they go,
That's
you know,
so cool.
they fly a fighter jet. You know, they don't get to actually go up very often as a fighter
Yeah.
jet pilot. So they go home and fly a fake fighter jet on the computer, and you
Whatever,
know
that's
know
awesome.
everything about it. You know, and
So
yeah,
those guys
it's
are
weird.
presumably
that's
pretty
the-
rad at Falcon 4.0 or
Yep,
whatever.
because
That's-
they can fly
yeah.
the actual thing in
Yeah.
real life.
that kind of stuff is I think is really cool, and I really like that video games, like broadly speaking as a medium, are like big and versatile enough to include that as a thing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I hope that there's always to some degree like a viable PC market with that can just accept any genre, because that kind of stuff, it's never, you know, that stuff was commercially successful at one point. It probably will never be to that extent again, but
Though it's
just
not a
the
good
fact
sign
that-
that those guys are still playing Falcon 4.0
that's
from
exactly
2000
right.
or whatever.
That's
it
what
is.
I'm saying. Yeah, that game was 1998, as I recall, and like I
good year
hope
for
that
games.
It wasn't like the best year for games.
Half-Life, Ocarina of Time, Falcon 4.0,
Yeah, Thief. I think.
Thief.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
System Shock 2.
System Shock 2 was 99.
99. I'm sorry. Idiot. I'm an idiot. But yeah, I think that stuff is really interesting and cool.
Galunga.
Break. Take a break.
Yeah, let's
take
go
a
to the
break.
moon on the break.
Fucking break.
Let's take a break.
Video game.
So you want me to talk now?
Yeah.
Here we go. All right. So there was this video game.
Was it a game?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you play this game?
No, I didn't like it and I didn't play it. But I know it was
But
there.
it was on your computer.
It was on my video game console.
What game was this?
Console game?
It was console game.
I think so.
Oh, that's one of those unauthorized sort of. It's a
Yeah.
It's like
Like a
50
10
games
gen.
in one.
Did you
It was-
buy it at a kiosk in the mall?
It was on a blue NES cartridge.
Hmm.
You bought it though from the guy who sells the helicopters.
The
one that you like pull the
Yeah, or
wire
like
on.
the boomerang that comes back to him every time.
but not to anyone else.
Not to anyone else. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought it from that guy. As noted, didn't play it, didn't like it, so can't really say much more about it. Thanks for talking.
That's a good game.
That's cool.
That's good analysis.
What else we got? What else is going on lately? You guys heard of this guy, Bobby Kotick?
Oh man, I heard of that guy.
More like Bobby Kodick.
Oh, it is more like that.
According
It's
to
more like that than Kotick.
according to Double Fine's Tim Schafer.
I would submit to you.
He called him a prick.
I know. I read that on Kotaku.com.
.edu. Video game university.
Kotaku.biz. We were in Oakland yesterday, and there was some
I was in
shop
Oakland yesterday.
that just on its marquee or in its whatever its awning, it had a .biz URL as like the name of the store.
That's how you know that
Made me
they're
happy.
serious about their business.
I remember there was one where you guys talking about being PC old men, and that made me very happy. That's all I really remember about the first series.
PC? Like
like talking
VCs?
about like using DOS and being pissed off about it and adjusting IRQs.
Oh, remember back in the day when you had to adjust an IRQ?
Mm-hmm.
Remember back when...
We could totally bring that back. We could do like, what about config.sys? Auto-exec.bat. Remember
Sean
when a
just
high
sort of
mem?
like barber chairs his way down from the table? Like, leave me the fuck alone. You love that stuff, though.
We just
You
started
love
doing
IRQ settings, like DMA or whatever the other one
Yeah.
was. Was it DMA? What the fuck was the other three-letter acronym of thing you had to deal with? Oh, whatever. I don't care.
I was all about enabling MSCDEX.
Yeah, no shit.
For your compact disc system.
High mem.
Multimedia high-mem.sys.
Fuck
Hyman's.
yeah.
No.
There was no config file for that.
The Hyman.sys. I hate everyone.
Hyman.sys.
Okay.
Oh, that wasn't necessary.
All right.
That's apparently the Idle Thumbs version of saying water on. You can't do that on television. It's the 24th.
You ready?
Yeah.
Welcome back from the break of
Hey, guys.
Hey,
Whoa,
hey-o.
snaps.
Whoa.
Claps.
Oh, claps. I'm sorry.
Super
The
snaps
clap.
and claps.
Super Snaps and Claps. You mean Snaps and Claps 64?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Well, that was the sequel to the SNES version. Super
There was
Snaps
Snaps and Claps, and then there was Super Snaps and Claps, and there was Snaps and Claps 64.
And then Snaps and Claps Origins when they brought it back on the...
Yeah, 5
the
years
PS2.
later. Yeah.
Yeah, on the PS2 probably Origins.
Yeah.
Snaps, Claps.
Vengeance. Snaps, claps, and and shells.
Snaps and Claps Vengeance is a good
The
game.
Reckoning.
And then actually now on the PS3 you can just get Snaps
God,
and Claps.
there's
which
been
is the reboot.
There's been like,
Oh, it's like-
a fucking string.
Pokemon Red and
Yeah.
Blue. Or Green?
There's been a string of...
There's been a rash of
rash
like
of string of
rashes?
video game
People getting
titles
rashes?
recently, because there was Red Faction Origins, which is the new
TV.
movie based on Red Faction on the Sci-Fi channel, and then there's Darkspore, and then there's what was the most recent one? Reckoning.
It was
Fantasy game, Kingdom of Fantasy Word Reckoning.
Yeah. It was Kingdoms of Amiurla or whatever,
Right.
Reckoning.
Yeah. But they're pitching the name of the game as Reckoning, like that's what they refer to it
Great.
everywhere.
And it's not the most recent, but it is definitely the very best, is Rayman Origins.
Rayman Origins.
Rayman Orange.
Rayman Origins.
Rayman's dark past.
Lieutenant Raymond.
Yeah.
What was his last name? Origins.
Lieutenant Rayman Canon.
yeah.
Well, that's right. So that it fits into the continuity.
Yeah,
Right.
so it is Raymond
Double
Cannon.
crossed by his team.
Yeah.
Left to die in a sinister facility.
In a whimsical forest.
My hand's over there. My other hand's over there.
But you'll find you
He
can
has
still
to
move
fight,
them.
later
though.
in the game. He has to fight a crazy cyborg made out of his missing like forearms and like thighs.
He recognizes
Remember
them.
these? I don't know why he shoots lasers out of
know.
orifices, but that's what that robot would do.
That's true.
It's the origins of his haircut.
He does have that silly
I think
haircut.
that origin is shared with Guybrush from The Secret of Monkey Island Special Edition.
Which are both actually, I think, an homage to the Necroflyer. No, his is his flopped down.
Yeah, no, his
Necroflyer
was
was a center
floppier.
part.
His is almost the opposite of those because Don't Rayman and Guybrush hairdos like go way
They go
up?
way up.
Yeah,
and
Guybrush
everything
part
is on the
Necroflyer
side.
Right
got
up.
scared, it would probably be that haircut though.
It's still,
Actually,
it's just
the
center part, though.
Necroflyer's
It's
haircut
important.
is the remnant of that. He's actually part of that origin as well, but his
Oh,
has
that
lost.
was how he was during.
that
That's how he
Necroflyer
was
as
in his
well?
younger days.
Yes.
Yeah, but when after he got turned into a Necroflyer.
Before the incident.
Yeah.
You mean when you became a Necroflyer?
Yes, that's the incident. That's what I meant. Shut up.
What were you
Rayman
doing before?
the Necroflyer incident.
Oh, before he was just like you or me.
Subtitle.
Not a Necroflyer.
No, before he was a Necroflyer, he was just a guy. Got a dead end job, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
before he was a Necroflyer, he was
beautiful
Rayman.
wife.
Just a guy with a sweet do. That's like the '90s Sega Genesis platformer version.
Right.
He's just like
When he was Fido Dido.
yeah,
Hanging out with Toe Jam and Earl.
yeah.
I like Toe Jam and Earl.
You had that Toe Jam and Earl
Like Willy
poster
Beamish.
that you found and brought it in.
Oh yeah, Willy Beamish has that haircut
Yeah.
and a rat tail. I'm pretty sure.
Oh really? I
If I'm not
remember that
mistaken,
part.
I think he did.
Oh, Willy Beamish.
Willy Beamish. He also had
Did
a
you play
frog
Willy
that was his
Beamish, Sean?
friend.
No,
Get the fuck out of here.
We should grow rat tails for charity.
That's true.
That's a good idea.
I don't.
Rat tails
disagree.
for kids.
In homage to Willy Beamish.
That's the subtitle, actually.
Subtitle, yeah.
I think the name of the game was Adventures of Willy Beamish.
It was
Origins.
Willy Beamish Origins.
Yeah.
Holy shit, they could bring
Dynamics
it
was working on Willy Beamish Vengeance before they got shut down by
It was a
Sierra.
tank sim, actually.
back. I want to see a modern game called Willy Beamish Origins.
Well, maybe
They're
it is
bringing it
like
back.
how
They're reviving that IP.
it's like how Commander Keen's grandpa is the guy from Wolfenstein, probably.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
BJ Blazkowicz.
Yeah.
yeah. And Billy
Blaze.
Billy Blaze, yeah.
But he's actually
Billy Blaze is his like Ellis Island name. No, because his grandfather was already.
No, he's a Blazkowicz.
Oh, is he? He just goes
Yeah,
by Blaze.
Billy
Okay, it
Blaze
wasn't
is
like
his
his family name.
No,
got
that's his
changed.
cool name. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Before he became a Necroflyer.
This is complicated, guys.
Yeah.
I just want to see if anybody. I can almost guarantee, knowing what I do about the video game industry, that at some point someone was working on at least one sequel or reboot to Willy Beamish. Like, you know, maybe kind of like what was it, Curse of Monkey Island, the 3D Monkey Island sort
That's
of era,
Escape
from Monkey Island, yeah, era where
Please.
it was like Willy Beamish, you know, on
Oh yeah, yeah.
for-
like
for
when there was
PS1 or
Simon the
PS2
Sorcerer
for-
3D and all that
Yeah.
shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's, I mean,
so
there-
I kind of if anyone was involved with this in any way and still has like the design
If anyone-
docs that are
if
left
anyone was
over
involved
from,
with the unknown but inevitable
Yes.
3D Willy Beamish reboot
from the definitely
please
canceled
write
Willy
the
Beamish
questions
game that was once in
and
development,
answers.
I guarantee it.
We know between 1999 and 2004 there was a fucking like
Yeah.
200 poly Willy Beamish on
possibly
someone's
as early as 1998.
Yeah, it was like the Leisure Suit Larry sequels that got released.
Right.
I know there was like just I think like 2003-4 there was a Space Quest 3D platformer that looked kind of like Psychonauts that was in production.
Wow.
Really? At Sierra? No, that
No, it
shouldn't
was at some
exist
company
anymore.
called Escape Factory that disappeared immediately.
God, I bet
So
somebody tried
they
to bring
probably
back
they
Night
probably
Trap
pitched
at some point.
Willy
I
Beamish.
bet.
What?
I bet somebody tried to bring back Night Trap at some point.
It was probably, yeah, I bet someone did. And it was probably one of those like weird little publishers, like, South Peak Interactive or something that publishes just like,
Weird.
like the guys who, like the Boy and His Blob remake
Oh yeah,
from Majesco.
yeah, which people kind of liked.
Yeah, actually,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of did.
Oh, I was just about to say I'm really looking forward to that, but I guess it came out.
You don't.
It came out
know
years
about
ago,
video
didn't it?
games, do
I
you?
thought it was in the last year. I think.
I think it came out this year. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
earlier
crazy.
this
It was
year, or
in-
maybe last.
It was in
year.
development for fucking
Yeah,
forever,
and
though.
they showed it really early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's like that.
Pretty much exactly like that.
If you run a Willy
Origins.
Beamish fan site and know about the canceled
If you're
2001
German,
version,
there's a chance that you are this person.
anyway, questions at idlethumbs.net.
Yeah.
Or Willy Beamish fan.biz.
Willy
We're
Beamish
we're
dot
assuming
museum.
we're assuming that a reader's just going to register that.
Willy Beamish dot
within the next
museum.
hour.
The site is titled the Willy Beamish Museum.
Yeah, it was formerly hosted on GeoCities.
Yep.
Anyway, have you guys played Transformice?
I saw an internet video of it.
Yeah, we've been exposed to Transformice, but I haven't really.
But no, I haven't
Have
played
you
it.
played it? None of you
I
played
haven't
it?
played
All
it.
right.
I briefly looked at
But the video is marvelous.
I haven't played Transformice for a couple weeks, but if you haven't played Transformice, the idea is that it's kind of like Lemmings, with up to dozens and dozens and dozens of people playing simultaneously, where everybody controls one lemming essentially. Like you play one
Except for
of,
you. Isn't there like one person that is like
There-
the guy playing Lemmings?
No, not really.
Well, no, there's
there's
like
the shaman.
yeah.
But he's in the world just like everyone else. But he also can
spawn things,
spawn items, and cast certain spells that do things and help people. Ostensibly help people.
Can we stop for half a second?
Yeah.
I just want to say, Wikipedia says that a sequel to Willy Beamish was reportedly planned,
shit.
starring Willy Beamish as a late teenager, but the project was canceled.
What?
When was it?
100% called.
There's no source. It's an unsourced claim.
There's not even a date range?
No.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Because I wonder if it was like an immediate sequel, you know, like the year after it came out, or if this was like a revival
We'll
thing
never
like 5
know.
or
It was
10 years
probably,
later.
I bet it was a
The art
revival.
does remind me that he does have Guybrush special edition hair, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
But yeah, Willy Beamish was 91 through 93.
Wasn't there only one game?
Yeah, but it's like all games of that era, it came out
on like Amiga and
like-
PC and Mac
yeah,
and
Sega CD.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Transformice.
Yeah,
Which I almost called
Transformice,
Informice.
And Formice. There's a shaman who can help. Like ostensibly, his goal is to help the other mice get to the cheese and then get back to the mouse hole.
But they are perfectly welcome to just be a big
Yeah,
douche.
they can just be a big douche if they want, and spawn things that hurl people off of edges and things. Basically, the idea of Transformice is that it's both competitive and cooperative. So all of the mice in the game individually want to collect cheese from some other point on the screen and then get back to the hole. It's a flash-based 2D side-scrolling
Right,
thing.
that's the purpose of the game, but the real purpose of the game is to reveal how fucked people are and to reveal the horribleness of human nature.
A lot
and
of times
that society is doomed.
A lot of times there will be things that even though you want to get the cheese faster, like you're ranked on a leaderboard, so if you get there first, you're at the top of the leaderboard for that level and you get more points. But sometimes you actually need to work together because, for example, the level will be composed of, say, a huge seesaw. And so to actually get to the cheese, which is up in the air, you need to have a bunch of people standing on one end of the seesaw, then other people need to go to the other end and jump up.
Then there's always the one douche I'm going to fucking go for it. And then,
well, it's not the one douche. It's like everyone. It's just like, fuck it, go run now, go get it.
It's that nobody wants to be the guy helping. They want to be the guy
they want to
getting
be the guy getting it first, yeah. And so then you have people who mean well, and stick back and then get totally fucked because then once they've helped everyone get the thing, everyone else
guy's like, no, don't worry, guys, I'll stay.
Yeah,
and he just gets flung across the map.
And
it's so good.
There are so many God, the first night I played Transformice was it was like a magical experience. It was just because there's all these different because the levels are usually very simple. Sometimes though they require pretty complex things to go right. Like a lot of times there's really a lot of pressure on the shaman. Like he'll have to build these complex bridges and time things right and build things that are architecturally sound because the whole game is very, very, very heavily physics driven. And the shaman is the least intuitive thing to play ever. Like if you're the shaman and you don't already know what you're doing, you can't figure it out your first time. And it's like, it's like playing Counter-Strike or something where everyone else will just fucking get pissed at you if you don't know what's going on. And if you're the shaman and you fuck things up, but unlike Counter-Strike, it's fucking hilarious, because everyone will be on this little platform that and the shaman will need to build a bridge to across a big gap to get to the cheese, and he'll start to build it, and of course people don't fucking wait 10 seconds to see if the bridge works. It's like, oh god, he put down a block, and everyone just pours onto it, and of course the whole thing falls out and everyone just plunges to their death, and every time it's hilarious. Every single time. There's one that's just the entire level is just a huge wooden plank that extends basically the length of the screen being supported by just one fulcrum in the middle, and it's not attached, it's just balancing there. And there's cheese on either side, so you can go either direction to get it. So ideally half of the people would go to the left, half of the people would go to the right, they'd counterbalance each other out, they'd each get the cheese, they'd move back at the same rate, etc. That doesn't ever fucking happen. People just immediately rush out, and then it starts tipping over to the left, and everyone's like, oh shit! And they all start running back to the right, and then they way overcompensate, so it starts tipping over to the right. Everyone's like, oh god, oh shit! And they start running back again. And then, inevitably, this happens every time I've ever played this level, inevitably, eventually, the whole thing just tips a little too far, and the entire level falls off the screen, and everybody dies. And it's the funniest fucking thing every single time. This game is hilarious. I played this for hours and hours and hours. I played this for a week actually on the NeoGAF forums. They had a room you can go. It's like BattleNet chat rooms where you can create a chat room just by joining the name of a room that doesn't exist yet. And so people would just make a gaff room, and it was pretty much always populated by a couple dozen people. And that was way more fun than playing with randoms, mainly because it's a French-developed game, and a lot of the random people are French speakers, and it's much funnier if you can see the stuff that people are typing and going like, "Oh no, God, why isn't anyone helping me?" And so that was really fun. But the weird thing about this game is after about a week or so, I started realizing like I'm not really having very much fun with this anymore. Like what's going on? Why isn't it hilarious when all the mice die? Like that's so funny usually. And I realized it's because they weren't all dying anymore. Like people had actually gotten good at this game. Like it turned into actually what Counter-Strike is like, which is everybody knows the layout of Dust 2 like to a incredible degree of accuracy, and people just fucking go in there, they fucking do it. The shaman knows exactly what's going on. He lays down the board, people run across, they work together, they finish it, and like it's proceeding the way the designers probably originally intended it to go, but it's not as hilarious and awesome. Like I feel like I experienced this amazing curve of this game, like this zeitgeist of just like this just unique, unreplaceable experience of going into this crazy world where just nothing works and everything's insane and people are just falling to their death everywhere and everyone's laughing at it, and you and shamans just explode things and make everyone fly off the edges, and like just this crazy chaos of this game. It's totally unique. I've never played any other game that is any remotely like this. And then people sort of came to terms with it and like figured it out, and the game itself evolved, and the whole feeling of playing the game evolved, and it turned into something totally different. And it was like, it was like weird adolescent. It was like being an adolescent and then becoming an adult.
I was just gonna make a Lord of the Flies reference.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
if they just kind of figured their shit out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, no, we can all live happily here.
They all got jobs and picket fences. And,
So if I played Transformice at this point, it would be boring and I'd be yelled at.
I don't know.
Or just the people from GAF.
Yeah, is it because you were playing with the same group of people
I think
the whole
it was
time?
specifically because I was playing with GAF, and so we went through like you say, the Lord of the Flies. It was that controlled, like concentrated experience, which was really like that in itself was actually interesting once I became cognizant of
and
the
it makes
evolution.
sense that it's sort of like a week later the only people that are still left playing it are the guys that really care about it and want to be good at it, whereas when you first played it, it's just like every random person
oh man,
is like,
guys falling off.
let's try this out, let's try this out. Oh, that's fucked up, and they played it for a couple hours and then quit. So probably
but
if you played
lasted
with
for a
more
while.
random people,
But,
it would probably be more like this. I don't know.
Also, the developers have started adding more levels, and I haven't played it since then. But I'm assuming that with the addition of new levels, and I think they're even adding new mechanics.
Like every time a new level
if they
shows
keep
up,
that going
hilarity,
in like Team Fortress 2 style, and they keep
What?
what Jake is interested. Like that could keep the game new enough that people don't get too settled into it.
Yeah.
But it's anyway, the concept is really cool. It's if you search for Transformice, I forget the address, but I think it's transformice.com or org or something. But what you want to do is type /en at the end of the URL because that's the English client. And I don't think there's a link to that.
Is there
on
any
the front
reason
page.
it's called Transformice?
I have no idea. The name is not. Yeah, I think it's because the people who made it are French.
Yeah.
That's
Just watching the video, what's hilarious to
The
me.
video is amazing.
It's so good. Yeah, the video
The
is
one with
really,
the
really
Pee-wee's
good.
Big Adventure music.
Yeah.
playing?
Oh yeah, by the way, this game has no sound because they said it was too taxing on the server to stream sound while you're playing in a game with like 60 other people. So basically what you want to do is search for on YouTube Infinite Breakfast Machine, and one of the top responses will be a link to a site that just plays YouTube videos on repeat forever, and you go to the Breakfast Machine from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and that's the correct background music to play. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, it makes the experience a million times more hilarious.
That's also the most linked YouTube video has that song playing in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it's a nice because like it's everything you say. At least the way you were saying, like kind of the complete deconstruction of like society. Nobody's working together. Everybody's going for their own thing.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. But in the bottom, there's still like a community of people in the chat that are like, no. Like, let's just. Which is great because you see like their animal instinct versus their human instinct in the same screen. And that made me laugh a lot.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Well, and the best thing is when you
Fucking insightful.
can,
What?
you know, when
It's
when
a
you see
microcosm
the,
of our fucking human society.
It is all nice in a virtual environment with a shaman who can spawn planks of wood.
The shaman's Barack Obama.
the best moments
I
in
was
the
going to go with
chat
George
are
W.
when.
Bush, but all right.
Oh shit!
Well, there is a blue shaman and a fuchsia shaman, so maybe they can be both.
George W. Bush.
George W. Shaman.
Fuchsia shaman.
What do you think the W stands for? The Wizard.
Good one, Steve.
Good job.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, it's.
But yeah, the best moments in chat are always the ones where you can see like the seesaw going back and forth, and everyone, it's like
No.
99% certain it's going to just end in tears, but people are holding out hope that it won't. And they're like, "Come on, guys, we can do it! We can do it! We can do it!" And then like no chat for several seconds because everyone's just focusing intently on trying to stabilize the thing. And then it's gone. And then the entire chat window.
The one that I remember is
And the
when
chat is represented, like, in addition to being in the chat window, they also
little
mirror it on
speech
word
bubbles
bubbles
pop up?
in the
Yeah,
thing. And so the whole screen just fills up with hilarious shit. It's good.
The one I remember is when there's the one everybody runs across the plank and gets cheese, and everybody runs back really fast, but one guy's like, I'm just gonna get the cheese at my own pace, and then everybody makes it back, but the platform's fucked by that time. So it's like everybody's over there near the hole, and there's the one guy on the other side of the map just waiting to get back, and you can do it, and he just slowly teeters out to the edge, and he dies.
That's a common situation. In
The one
Transformers.
guy sort of thing, like you can make it, is gonna.
Yes,
Okay. Oh, I'm very tired.
that's okay.
What else you guys been up to? Aside from
Well,
Transformice.
you played Alpha Protocol.
Yeah, I know you guys talked about Alpha Protocol.
You beat it, though. You
already.
beat the
I beat
game.
it. I finished it. I fucking owned it.
You're the video game master.
Yeah. I killed that game.
I completed it too. I forget
very
if I talked
quickly.
about it since I finished it, but
Yeah,
I,
you talked about it last
Yeah, I killed that game. I completed it as well.
I body slammed that game to death
oh shit! What do you
your
think
body
of Alpha
very
Protocol?
quickly. I played through the game and maybe like, did you look at what your playtime was at the end?
It was about 18 hours.
Okay, yeah, mine was like 13.
Okay.
And
Did you do a lot of like unnecessary missions?
I did all of the missions that ever came up. So yeah.
it's just better than
Did you get the sense if you missed any?
Well, I mean,
Because one of the things about this game that was interesting was
it seemed
that-
like the branching was pretty like broad. Like it seemed like there was a lot of content that you could easily miss by
Yeah,
making a dialogue
that's very
choice.
true. Yeah,
'cause
which I thought was cool personally.
Yeah. But no, I pursued all of the optional stuff that I could. I just played through it really quickly because I was max pistols, max shotgun, max body armor,
Max
and,
Ides.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
You weren't here last week. It's okay.
No, I wasn't. Sorry. And so I basically spent the whole game just like an alarm was always on. I would sprint towards guys while unloading my pistol and then just punch them to death the rest of the way. And it was just a straight up, run and gun, destroy everything
I played the
as
exact
hard as
You
possible.
stealthed everything, didn't you? Chris, you were invisible.
I was totally invisible.
Yeah, I could just tell that like it seemed like the stealth in that game would be really frustrating because when I would just get seen by guys always, and when they see you, they're instantly aggroed on you. There's no like middle state of like I think I saw him.
Yeah.
It's more like okay, I'm creeping around. I'm creeping up behind this guy.
Hey, there's a
he's
guy
shooting
there.
at
Look
me.
at that guy.
And then everybody's pissed off and it's just like, well, good thing I didn't actually try to sneak and just eradicated everyone.
The thing is that's true about stealth. The way that you get stealth to work is just by never letting them see you because you're invisible. So like if you actually try to play the game like a human would be stealthy,
Stealth
that
man.
doesn't work. But the game, like basically it seems like some designer on the team was like, shit, we need a stealth system, but we don't support that at all. What do we do to like have the guy not be seen? Make him invisible. Just turn him fucking invisible. Turn off the polygons. Like, I mean, there's no justification or reason for it other than, I guess, it's sort of the way that I was thinking about it in my brain. And this is the problem with video games always being from a protagonist's perspective.
Yeah.
Is like, for example, in a Jason Bourne movie, what that would be is just he's impossibly there all of a sudden, and no, like the bad guy didn't see how he snuck up behind him and get him. And
like Batman
even as,
disappearing, but
yeah.
opposite.
Exactly like that. And like the viewer of the movie doesn't see behind the curtain. He just sees all of a sudden this guy's there, all of a sudden he's not. I sort of like maybe that's what Alpha Protocol was trying to do. Like they're trying to create the impression of, oh, you're this crazy invisible Superman who can just do this.
Maybe.
The problem is there's no way to represent that in a video game when there's continuity.
I don't even think it was that. I think it was just RPG powers, because like when I used my combat abilities and stuff, I would do like some animation of like the barbarian like enrage animation. I'd get like a red shader over myself when I like turned on my shotgun power up ability or whatever. I think they were just like, I think it was totally abstract. Just like, what do we have? We have talents. We have like special powers that this guy has. You can just like make it so your shotgun knocks everybody down for a while because and like okay. That was the approach they took, of just like very RPG-ish, not really trying to support what would this actually be in real life. Well, we don't care. You level up.
Well, yeah, but it did make me think about that relationship though, because real life is not even like, it doesn't come into play like in these situations. Like when you think about a spy movie or a movie about some kind of crazy stalker character, like Predator-like character, the movie never ever has to justify how the character does those things. Yeah. Whereas in a game,
well, except in the Predator, he has optical camo and stuff.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they don't have to show him.
You just need to say the word optical camo in your set.
Like, they don't have to show him doing all the stages along. Like, that movie would be really ineffective if you were following the Predator all the time and seeing where he was going. Like, it's effective because, oh shit, all of a sudden he's right there. And we don't know how
you're from the point of view of the guy being
You don't need to see the
stalked,
Predator be like, oh man, that guy's going over to the left. I got to go get behind this column. And
Right.
boo, in your face, Predator. Like, whoa.
Exactly,
Nice one, Predator. He's like, oh, good work. That's him talking to himself to psych himself up after that.
But
it takes a lot out of you being the Predator.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes the actual protagonist is the guy who's that powerful or that skilled.
Yeah.
But like,
but they still show it from the point of view of the guy being stalked in those situations.
Exactly.
It's more dramatic.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I was trying to, like, this game made me think, how would you do that in a video game? And it would be difficult, I guess. And you might be right that maybe that wasn't even what they were thinking of in Alpha Protocol. It may not have been at all, but it did make me think about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was your overall thinking on Alpha Protocol?
My overall impression was that I kind of like, it was weird. I kind of liked it. Like I just enjoyed it. I can't remember if we've talked about this kind of concept before on the podcast.
I've talked about it with you personally, for sure.
Maybe, yeah. But the idea of like a game that's just kind of good, not really bad, not really great, but like it presents like a number of fairly simple challenges that you can just kind of burn through and just sort of enjoy in an almost ambient way. I think the way that we've maybe talked about it before, it's like gaming comfort food.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just sort of like, well, this thing doesn't really make me think very much. It's not really doing anything that I haven't seen before, but it's like this chunk of content that I can just kind of do. It's like, I know this is a video game. I can play this. I'll just go through, I'll shoot these guys. Oh, there's a thing. I'll play the little mini game. Oh, I got an experience point. It was like the shooting wasn't great. Like the level design was generally serviceable, but you just kind of like went into the side room and got the thing that had an icon hanging over it and played your little hacking mini game, and then got your bonus. Like the dialogue and plot and stuff was just sort of like silly, but in the end, even though it didn't do anything outstandingly, I just kind of had a nice time playing it. It was just sort of a nice little game.
I sort of agree, and I sort of don't. I feel the same way about kind of the combat scenarios and level design for sure, but those ended up not really being the game for me, especially once I like went fully invisible and was able to bypass a lot of that shit.
Yeah.
For me, like I actually did feel the game had some kind of unique stuff to offer in the way that the dialogue was structured, mainly because most kind of Western action RPGs these days posit that your character is broadly shaped by individual conversations you have.
Yeah.
Whether they give them like a good bad meter or like a notoriety meter or something like that. They essentially propose the idea that you say this to this guy and someone on the other side of the world knows you're a douche because of it or knows you're a nice guy. The thing I liked about Alpha Protocol is it basically proposed the idea like humans actually are in this game. You can be a total dick to this person and they will perceive you to be a dick. That has absolutely no bearing on how anyone else perceives you, and that's what it's actually like to deal with people.
It's the Dragon Age style. You just have reputation with individuals based on what you do.
Right? Exactly. Which I like a lot more. But
I think I thought that, that was cool. Sure. It didn't. In a lot of cases, it didn't seem to have a ton of impact on how the game played out.
It allows you to like extract more information from them that can either help you on missions or in some cases give you entire missions. Like if you don't pursue a path of discussion with someone that they appreciate or that they respect or whatever, they may just not give you a mission at all. And the game also starts to reflect your play style. So like early on in the game, God, we probably already talked about this, didn't I? I'm sure I did, so I won't go over it again.
Conversation sirens are here.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm probably done.
No, but I mean, there were some parts where there was definitely like, especially late in the game, very distinct branching outcomes. You know, like there was a part late in the game where I restarted this mission because I realized I had missed this like side mission, you know, that I wanted to do. Yeah. And earlier in the mission, there had been this thing where it was like, you go to this computer station. It's like, do you want to contact this character or download this secret information to your PDA because you can only do one? And when I first played it, I downloaded it to my PDA, and it was like, this character you thought was your friend was really a assassin sniper. Isn't that fucked up? And you're like, oh, that is fucked up. And so when I went and talked to that character in that mission, you confront them, and I had the option in that in that thing, like, execute this character or spare them, because you're like, you were the assassin. That's fucked up. And
that's cool. I didn't find that out till much later in the game.
And so I could kill them. And then I started the mission over, and instead of getting the PDA information, I talked to the dude, and I talked to him for a while. And then when I went and encountered that character again, my character didn't even know that they had been the assassin, and they became like my friend for the rest of that mission.
That's what happened to me, and I didn't.
And so that's pretty interesting, you know. It's like there's a character lives or dies, not just based on did I choose the kill this character conversation option in the one conversation that's ever going to happen with them.
That branch doesn't even.
Yeah,
open.
I actually had two totally different conversations based on what knowledge my character had.
That's the kind of. I had a couple experiences like that in this game where
so some of that stuff was impressive, but a lot of it also. On the other, I don't know. The game made me think about like conversation system stuff like that, and it made me think about. There are kind of three levels of approaches to that, to like how much impact your choices in dialogue make on the game, and kind of like how much play there is and how much actual agency you have in conversations, wherein on one level you always have the same conversations in the same order, and it's just an information ATM, you know, and some games are like that. And the second level where Alpha Protocol kind of lives is like there are distinct branches within conversation. They lead to other branches that, you know, branch further, etc. But it's always going to be like you talk to this person first, and you branch to these two, and then you talk to that one or that one. Chart, and the third is something like the most memorable section of Mass Effect 1 for me, which was Novaria in the in the talkie part of it, where you actually like very intentionally use information and go back and forth between multiple characters to manipulate a situation intentionally towards the end that you desire. And it can play out a bunch of different ways depending on like, oh, I found out this from this person, so I decided to go talk to this other person and tell them this misinformation. And then, you know, like, and you can really you can control what outcome happens in a way that's much more deep and player driven than just like, I chose lie or not lie when I got to this.
That's
branch,
still structurally the exact same thing.
Yeah,
just
the reason
finely grained.
It's not because it's circular. Like you know, like
but you still lock on. I mean, you still essentially
that is still the same.
You're still locking off
more branches.
Branches or not. The difference is Mass Effect presents it in a way where you can walk around a world and choose what character you want to interact with in what order.
Exactly.
But you're not, the end states are still...
There's still a huge number of binary logic gates opening up branches. I mean, I feel like the third, or I guess the fourth thing is actually, and this is the stupid fucking game that always is brought up because it's, and I'm tired of saying it, but Facade.
Yeah.
But that's because the characters in that actually have like mood AI
motivations
and stuff and character motivations on top of your player actions. There's actual character AI, whereas in Mass Effect, no matter how complicated that tree gets, it's still a huge string of designer-written dialogue gates.
No, it
like a character won't eventually just be like, "You're lying because I did," you know. And
but I'm talking
the person
about...
who wrote that dialogue goes, "What? Why the fuck does that character now think that I'm lying?"
Yeah,
you know.
No, I mean I'm talking about like
just in
approaches
dialogue
to
tree
dialogue tree structure.
Yeah, it's basically a presentation thing. I mean, like
it's not really presentation though, because in Alpha Protocol you're never like put in this hub area.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what when I say presentation, I mean just the framing for how that tree plays out, like how you're allowed to explore it. Essentially,
in the structure I'm talking about, it becomes a non-linear tree more or less, where in what order you go to which node is chosen by the player compared
Yeah,
to you'll
not-
always
well-
meet this character, then this character.
Right.
Non-linear,
was in
non-linear in the
Protocol.
sense that like a game like BioShock or something is non-linear. I mean, things are still broadly going to happen in the same order.
Right. No,
But-
I'm not talking about like procedurally generated conversation or anything like that. But I don't know. So
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the kind of thing where in Alpha Protocol, it didn't really make me think deeply about the choices I was making in a way that in a situation like that in Mass Effect, I was really like, oh man, I have to think about what's going to happen. Who do I want to talk to next, and what do I want to say to them? Because I'm planning. I'm kind of.
Right.
I have the intention of coming to this one outcome.
I will say that in a lot of cases, the Mass Effect example is particularly a good one because a lot of games that work like that work that way implausibly, where that occurs over much greater geographical distances and time frames. And the game is just essentially on hold as you go around and do that. And to me, that really exposes the fact that underneath it really still is this static tree.
Yeah.
Mass Effect is nice because that whole thing takes place in basically one building.
Yeah.
So it really ameliorates a lot of those problems.
Yeah, and I think it's
the
similar to
reason-
some of the successful instances of that in like Deus Ex,
Right.
when
Yeah,
you're in
yeah,
Hell's
exactly.
Kitchen or
Right.
something, and you go
Right.
between these few characters in the bar
Right.
and kind of manipulate them.
And I think the reason that Alpha Protocol works the way it does is because they want it to be a jet-setting espionage game. But if you could do, like Indiana Jones map and just click around and have the airplane fly to the thing whenever you want,
Then it would also be silly.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, Alpha Protocol, you could definitely see like, okay, I'm going through this one playthrough. In this playthrough, I chose A instead
Yeah.
of B, and now at this one cutscene, this person showed up on my view screen instead of the other person.
Right.
And if I play this again and I choose B instead of A, well, then I guess the other guy will show up.
Right.
And I don't know. It feels a little bit just more kind of like transparently limited to me. When you're kind of just like cutting off content that way. But
I didn't mind that. I like that actually. But anyway, there was a thing you pointed out on Twitter, which was that sort of regardless of which thing you say, basically, like regardless of choosing like suave answer or like jerk answer or aggressive answer, they're all pretty much douche answer,
except possibly the one that's labeled professional.
Yeah,
where
that's
it's
true,
normally
where
just
you're
kind of the
just
driest
dude.
Bro,
one.
douche.
Yeah, right.
Well, you're generally at that point you're just sort of like, here would be the most analytically correct
Right.
approach to
Play it
take.
by the book.
All the other
Comma,
ones where
you
you
bastard.
have any kind of like personality
Emotion,
behind
yeah.
it,
Douche.
he's always
No,
such a douche.
yeah.
It's amazing.
Snarky
A lot of
guy?
it's just down to the voice actor too, who is the douchiest sounding man.
He-
Everything he says is like, even just a totally innocuous line.
Yeah.
Is just like, yeah, I guess I'll have a cup of coffee, and it's
Yeah.
like, what? All right, fine, asshole.
Yeah, but and it makes all of these like fate of the world conversations.
So
just
these
seems-
are the guys who look like
Fidel Castro?
Castro.
Yes.
They look like it was
I
Joaquin Phoenix
didn't
on Letterman. Or
I
whatever.
didn't have a Castro situation in my game.
Oh, you didn't?
Which maybe he just had like whatever tousled hair or whatever it was
Yeah.
called, and a 5 o'clock shadow and like glasses.
Should have gone for the beard.
Yeah, I know, right? But
I just pointed.
The reason-
I just pointed.
the
at
reason
hence a
Sage.
douche.
The reason I brought that up is because did you guys see today the details that came out about Dragon Age 2
Yeah.
conversation system, which consists like so, I mentioned Dragon Age in comparison to, or you did, I guess,
The
in comparison to Alpha
reputation
Protocol,
system.
because I really liked that. There was actually a huge amount of subtlety in the conversations in that game, and they, you'd say things that would influence your party members in different ways, and they really avoided doing the sort of modern day Western RPG good evil response. And I thought that was really awesome. I like that you actually could read what your character was going to say and then say a thing that had these different layers to it. I guess actually what Dragon Age 2 is good, nasty, or badass. Those are your fucking choices.
So instead of taking inspiration from their own dialogue mechanic, they took inspiration from their trailer.
Yeah, exactly, right.
So wait, it's not even. Is it even the same as Mass Effect, or it has like a summary of what you're going to say?
Or is it just say good, nasty, and
they
badass?
apparently-
There's 3 buttons. The radio control actually is just.
They say that
Well,
they're,
that's how it would be in Alpha Protocol. It would just be like sarcastic,
Right.
cool,
yeah.
professional.
I mean, they
want there to
say
be,
that
like,
they're
some
going to be
sort of, like-
represented by icons, but I don't know if there's also going to be text. But it sounds like it might just be straight up like the asshole icon.
Good,
and,
nasty,
like,
or badass.
That's the worst.
Oh, that's awesome!
Nasty.
What are you talking about? That's
Good.
the greatest. Especially
that-
if there's
is that
like
the greatest?
If there's a stinger
Who needs
where it's
any
like when you
feeling
pick
of agency over dialogue?
when you pick it and it goes nasty, and and then he says his line. Oh, that'd be so good.
As the UI fades away, nasty, badass. What? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, nasty.
Yeah, I just like.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if they're gonna do that, just go the whole way with it. So when he says nasty, it's just horrible, despicable, just gross shit.
Yeah.
And then when he says badass, it is just
Blood drips down on your screen like the camera.
yeah.
He put sunglasses on in the fantasy.
Yeah,
Middle Ages.
there's an option for like CSI Miami.
There's a fourth option where it's just walk away from explosion without looking back.
Right.
Yeah. That's badass.
You say those lines, and an explosion will always appear behind you, and he silhouettes for a second, except for the glasses, which all mirror
Like,
the explosion that's behind him.
Behind him, yeah.
Is that a reference to like the Bad Boys 2 movie poster? Or
It
something?
probably is,
I
but it
bet
feels
that's
like-
been
I
in
don't know.
some movie poster.
I think it's a thing that's maybe in multiple
Whenever
things.
anyone is a badass and an explosion is being walked away from, also it's reflected in their glasses.
Yeah.
I
It's
hope
because there's
so.
a huge mirror in front of them.
Right.
But
So
they're
they
looking
can
in the-
observe
the
how
explosion.
badass
Yeah,
without
exactly.
anyone being
Without
on the
having to
effect.
turn around.
That's also
Yeah.
why they don't turn around.
Right, because
Yeah.
it's just shown. If
Yeah.
a moment like that ever
They're like,
happens
"Oh, I
to you
can see- it's
that's
fine.
that badass,
That's far away."
they bring in a mirror for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wheel it in.
Yeah.
They airdrop it.
Nasty.
Good.
But yeah,
Badass.
the fucking guy. He would be talking to some dude that was basically controlling the fate of the world, like behind the scenes, like corporate dude that's like, pulling all the strings.
Yeah.
And he mentioned something, like he quotes Nietzsche or something, and you just choose like suave or whatever, and your dude is like, didn't know I was up for a philosophy lesson, and me without my notepad and pencil. You're just like, what the fuck, dude?
It is amazing how cavalier that guy can
Yeah.
be about like millions of lives potentially perishing.
And just kind of childish,
Yeah.
towards
He is,
some dude that's like, bleeding and stuff, and you're
Right.
like, guess you shouldn't have fucked with me. You're just like, what is wrong with you? You just
Yeah.
like, that guy's dying because
When
you
he
just
throws
shot him a
his
bunch
cigarette
of
down on
he
the
does
guy.
sometimes come off as like the lame school bully who's not quite clever enough
Yeah,
to like sort of
definitely.
actually respond to
It's awesome.
like the jibe.
Yeah.
that,
Well, you can't always just say "so's your face" as one of the dialogue response anywhere in
Yeah.
that game.
It's like an adventure game insult contest.
Yeah.
Not just that part.
Yeah. So it's a pretty goofy game. I don't
It is a
really-
very goofy game. I like.
it's okay, it's a very goofy
Yeah.
game, but I don't really regret my time with it.
I don't regret my
It was-
time with it at all. Actually, I would like to see.
It was enjoyable
I think they
enough.
declared they're not making a sequel, but I'd really like to see Obsidian use some of these systems in another game. Anyway,
Maybe they will.
should we get some reader mail?
We
queued
could
up?
read some mail.
I
from the
love readers.
Oh, from you or from them, the readers.
Mail from you, the readers.
Well, Jake also reads this podcast, so he could send in some mail.
Oh yeah, Jake's all the mail this week was from Jake.
That's true. I transcribe the podcast and then read the podcast and then send email about the podcast under a variety of names,
Mainly
what?
Jake.
Like what, Chris?
Jacob.
like
JA2KE.
Because you're reading them.
This is the New York Times crossword puzzle. This actually really does get harder over the course of the week. By the way,
Yeah.
I've never really I've only ever mainly done crosswords when I was on the plane.
Oh no, I used to do them all the
always do
time in
crosswords on the
college.
plane. I still always do on
I
the
thought
plane.
you were looking up
But-
reader mail.
Well, I'll do that afterwards. but-
Crossword's a game. We can talk about that.
Yeah, crossword's totally a game. No, I downloaded the New York Times crossword puzzle app on my iPhone, and you buy like a subscription that lasts a certain amount of time. And I've been doing it. Basically, I've done every one this week from Sunday through today's, which is Friday at the time we're recording.
Yeah, it gets hard.
And it gets fun. Yeah, like the Monday one, I'm like, this is a fucking piece of cake. And
Yeah.
the Friday one, it's fucking difficult. Like they go from being the easier ones are like
It is really hard.
like the
I thought they were just dropping off some more difficulty for you. You
You guys talking about crosswords up there?
They're very hard.
but it's fun. I'm really enjoying it actually.
Cool. Maybe we should take a break and you can find some
Yeah.
email.
Do that. Be back in no time at all.
in
for
a
you, the
jiffy.
readers.
It'll almost feel like we didn't take a break.
And we're back.
Video game.
Did I tell you I came home and Adam was sitting in his room. I was like, "Hey man, like what's up? You been playing the PS3?" He's like, "Yeah." And he's just kind of having a bad week. He's like, "I'm like, what are you playing?" He's like, "The fucking Far Cry 2 game that you won't fucking stop about." I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "It's like, like he's my best friend in the whole planet, in the world, and the universe."
He was upset about it.
He was. Not even upset. He's just kind of tired, and he's sitting there. He's like, "So how long did you play?" He's like, 2-3 hours. I was like, "Oh, so you liked it?" He's like, "Fuck no. That game's fucking stupid." He's like, I get in a car. I don't know where to go. And then guys shoot me, and that's fucking it. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I
is-
don't have any fucking bullets. So then I found a gun. It fucking broke. This is a fucking game. He was so mad. There's at every point where the game thwarts you by being real. Yeah, it did not please him.
Yeah, no, I mean that is.
I was like, play Super Mario Galaxy, dude.
Yeah,
You'd be
no,
happy.
that is what happens in that game. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of the things people really hate, or like, I mean, there are things that people don't like about the game, but then there are people who just hate the game. And a lot of the reasons people hate the game are like, especially in the context of modern video games, it's like, yeah, you're right. That's true. That's what happens. And like, if you aren't into that or like aren't into what results from that, then yeah, you're
I
gonna
just
hate
wish
it.
I had a webcam up or while he was playing just to see him being like, okay, fine, fucking sweet, I finally just killed those guys,
right.
and then like the malaria sits in,
Right.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like just the idea that game does choose the best
never-
times. That
yeah.
game just fucks you. Like
Yeah.
there's a constant dice roll of like, do I fuck him right now?
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck him. I'm gonna do it. I might
Yeah,
just
they've got their own
pretend to.
AI director of just.
Yeah, it does. Oh
Yeah,
god, you'd be
director
behind a crate
dicking
and
you.
just smack.
Man.
Why is this not working?
Speaking of which, speaking of AI director, I saw Darkspore at the EA event, which I know, it actually looks pretty fun. Mainly because it's not dark at all. I don't really know why it's called that. It's like basically Diablo style game, but like with kind of bright colors and like spore.
So it's
creature
Diablo
It
creatures.
feels like, I mean,
Yeah,
did you
that-
play the Nintendo DS game Spectrobes?
No, I didn't.
I don't know. The moment I saw Dark Spore, I thought of Spectrobes or something because there are these dark Spectrobes.
There's these dark spores.
Yeah.
Well, you also collect like characters in Darkspore, which also happens in Spectrobes, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
go around and you like have a little
It's like Pokemon.
yeah, sonar thing, but then you dig and you get a fossil and then you have to like chip away at the fossil lest you break the baby Spectrum inside.
Well, I don't think Darkspore has that.
Then you have to wake them up by speaking to them, which is awesome.
Like
Through the microphone?
yeah.
You say, come on, little one.
Yeah. And they all have different they all have different
DNA.
Dino DNA. Yeah, Mr. DNA is licensed by Disney, who made that game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, weird, right?
What
You
about
wouldn't-
can you use the stylus to control the prosthetic arm of Samuel L. Jackson?
you can back up your
Is that
character
just-
into
maybe
it?
the Kinect will have that.
Oh,
That should be a.
can you use the Kinect for XBLIG? Like, can you
Xbox Live Indie game?
Oh.
can you write an Xbox Live indie game that supports
Kinect.
Kinect?
It's a good question,
You know what? If
actually.
Jay Allard was in
I wonder why
charge,
no
he
one's
would let
asked
you.
that. Actually, I don't
Because
know.
if so,
Holy
fucking
shit.
A, we are teaming up to release
You mean-
back into Samuel L. Jackson's arm in your living room. That's the whole game, and then and you say, "Oh, thank God it's you!" No, and then the game's over.
Idle Thumbs Productions presents.
Yeah, fuck that.
I like
Done.
this.
We're
Yeah.
making that game.
I like this.
It's happening.
We can make that. I think we can
Yeah,
probably do
that'd be
that.
totally doable.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, just
We're all
make it
computer
like
programmers.
you know, like
Well, we would probably need a programmer, but
if Kinect input, then back into
back into ARM.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty. That would compile
broke
in
that.
XNA. I think I heard it's pretty easy language, pretty easy development environment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Blig? The
The
XNA?
I heard the BLIG is all about backing into an
XNA.
ARM with Kinect.
That
XNA is not the most complicated thing on the planet for one.
No,
Video game. Dear Thumbs, I heard Chris Cheese Plate Ramo. What
What?
Oh,
Yo,
remember
you
that
mean?
name?
Oh no!
is that a thing?
That guy's mistaken. By cheese plate, he
I
really
heard
means
Chris
gunga
Cheese Plate Ramo
gunga.
on the Gamers with Jobs podcast saying the Fender Squire guitar in Rock Band 3 was an inferior guitar. To us non-musicians, what makes the Squire less of a guitar? Also, I'm very disappointed with the lack of baboos in recent casts. Please
Baboo,
rectify this.
baboo.
Cheers, Slip
Gunga
Disco.
galunga.
Yeah, we're replacing that with
Please
Galunga.
attend the Idle Thumbs PAX panel featuring Nick Bregan, which, because it features Nick Bregan, is sure to contain a baboo.
And because it contains a room full of Idle Thumbs listeners, is sure to contain a baboo.
Yeah, that's true.
Bird noise, people screaming wizard.
So, as far as the Squire guitar goes, basically what I meant is that like a Squire guitar is actually a fine guitar, like especially if you're starting to play.
It's actually
It's fine. It's
not-
fine.
it's-
It's fine.
It
It's
is.
okay for you.
I mean, it's fine. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's not like a high end guitar at all. But
on
fine.
the scale of good guitar to Rock Band controller for the PlayStation, it's probably way closer to the guitar.
well, it is
side.
it is in
I would
fact
say
an actual
infinitely
guitar.
closer.
So yes,
Yeah.
yeah. The reason I when I was talking about that, the reason I was saying it's a very difficult purchase to justify is because I actually do own a guitar. Like I own an actual Fender, which is the nicer version of a Squire, and a lot of I mean I assume other people who play guitar
Right,
also
but
already own.
If you've only ever owned plastic controllers
Exactly,
and you're
right.
looking
Yes.
to use Rock Band to teach you the basics of how a guitar works,
And then
Right.
also maybe serenade a lady.
you cannot go. Oh, that's hardly
No, I'm just saying. I think you know, it's
that
not
the market?
Guitar is
Serious
not a rare
question.
instrument. Like I think there probably are a lot of people who play guitar and play Rock Band. Like I don't think that's a small group of people.
That's true, but this guitar seems entirely geared towards people who have like they've been playing Rock Band and it's made them want to learn a guitar, and this is like the safety step.
Yeah.
This is the
And
training
you
wheels
can
guitar.
sell a Squire for an amount that someone like that would pay.
Yeah,
Right.
And I will
That
say
was my
actually,
question. Who
a
did you
couple-
think this was for?
Well, you're right. It is for that
Because it's
for those
not for
people.
you at all.
Yeah,
Who do
but
you think you are, Chris?
No, I didn't
This
mean
game
it like
is
that.
not for
I was
you.
just curious who you thought that.
Oh, I
'cause
actually don't think that it's for Chris.
I'm
no,
so
I think
confused.
I
If we
think-
stripped all the sarcasm out of this
Yeah, we're like-
section, we would be left with nothing.
I'm not being sarcastic.
I know, but
I think
it's-
the last person on earth who is going to be interested in buying this is you.
I didn't know I was in
I don't
for a
think that's true.
philosophy
I mean,
lesson.
no,
like-
my dad's not going to buy it.
if someone
Chris might.
gave me that for free, I would totally take. Like I think it's I think it's actually really cool.
So you're saying you
like
would steal it?
The other day, I actually played Rock Band 3, and I played the guitar that is in between the regular Rock Band guitar and the crazy
The one that's the Rock Band controller with 1,000
with a
buttons
million
on it.
buttons. Yeah, and after doing that, I would say if you're someone who might be interested in the Crazy Squire one, I would just say go for that, because the weird middle one with a million buttons, which is the Pro guitar for Rock Band 3, is like it's so complicated. You might as well. Yeah, you really
Wait,
might as well.
So they're selling a plastic guitar that just has like dozens of buttons. For
Yeah.
each
It has
fret
as
on
many
it?
buttons as a guitar.
There's the
fretboard
Rock
has.
Band 2
Holy
guitar, then
shit.
there's the
Yeah.
every string on every fret is a
Right.
button guitar, and then there's just the
Jesus.
guitar that it can detect.
Yeah.
Like, just get the goddamn
That-
guitar.
the middle one sounds horrifying.
Well, yeah, and the problem with it is
the
middle one-
concept of that many
the middle
buttons
one is
in
just for the
place is, like,
raddest
gross to
YouTube
me.
videos, basically. Is what
Exactly,
that one's
yeah.
for. For the guy going,
Well, like, do you think they're going to try to like spur? Because I feel like Guitar Hero kind of has the lock on competitive that. Because I feel like
well, clearly
their
what
songs are more
Harmonix is moving
competitive.
towards is trying to actually educate people. and
Well,
get
I mean,
people
do you think
interested
that
in
middle
music.
guitar is maybe like, oh, and hey, this can be like a competitive thing?
No, because it really works like an actual guitar. When you play that in pro mode,
it is like a stepping stone to teach you guitar.
yeah.
Oh, I see.
The
So it
problem-
is still a part of that mission.
Yeah, the problem is you're learning how to recognize a fretboard without learning how to like properly press down on a string on a fret. So you're not developing like the physical muscle memory on your fingers. That's gonna. So
That
you're,
seems
you're
like a weird thing to exist.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to just justify it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, if I'm them,
it's the missing
why am I
link.
making
I think it
this?
is
'Cause
that
that's an expensive thing to
Harmonix decided
manufacture.
to take different, like, just increasing steps on the familiarity / scared
Right,
person
exactly, right.
scale. Like, oh, I understand the Guitar Hero guitar, so this I'm not having to actually learn how to play guitar. I can still just press
Still
the buttons on the
buttons,
video
yeah,
game.
yeah.
But
But
if you're that good at
Well, my
it,
only
don't you
point
think
is they're
that you're
making that
kind of
same
like ready
step.
to step it up? I don't know.
Well, I think
Maybe
that's what
not
I think
where
that's what
people
Harmonix would contend.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's what they're saying. They're trying to give all these different points along the spectrum.
are. I don't know. It just instinctually it seems weird to me to think of someone who is so good at Guitar Hero that they need a controller that has all the same buttons as frets,
Yeah, but
I think
doesn't
there are
just
people-
want
I
to
think
play it
it's-
on
yeah,
a guitar.
I understand what
That's
you're
why
saying.
I was
but
bringing
they-
up the competition thing.
this still
Maybe
to-
it's for a different type of person.
just from a product offering perspective, this still makes more sense to me than just offering the 5-button and the full-on crazy
yeah, I
real
think
guitar.
the human comfort scale is completely
Exactly.
satisfied with all
Right.
this.
Like some people are just never going to spend whatever. I mean, I don't know how much the Squire costs.
Yeah, how
but
much
some
are they
people
selling that for?
I don't know.
A couple $100
But
for
whatever it is, there are going to be people who just aren't willing to pay that.
Because
What
like
would
a
you
Squire in real life that doesn't interface with Rock Band 3 is only like $150
it's like $100
or something.
Yeah, but this has a lot of crazy shit in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more complicated than an actual real Squire
Can you
is.
plug that into your computer then and do crazy shit with that?
I don't know. You can definitely plug the.
I don't know.
I played all the
play
instruments.
I know
like
nothing about any of this stuff.
I played all the instruments actually the other day, including the keyboard, which is, I mean, it
You
is
were just a MIDI controller.
it's an actual
basically.
MIDI controller, which is awesome. And you play it, and it's crazy. Like, they've got the pro mode and then the normal mode.
That's box quote right there. You play it and it's crazy.
play it and it's crazy.
Dash Chris Remo.
Chris
and,
Remo on this podcast.
On the pro mode, I mean, again, this is obvious and
The
it's been said
elephant in that
before, but
music.
it's still surprising when you do it. You're actually really playing the same stuff on keyboard that the keyboardist in that song is playing, including chords and the full range of the thing. Like it's
Is there, when you were playing this, did you get the sense that they actually, in any capacity, teach you the musical side of this?
absolutely not. That's the problem with it.
Oh, that blows. Because the thing that would be nice about if you were playing with the actual Squire guitar and you were playing the Rock Band shit, but if they would eventually just break that down so it would start throwing chords at you on the bars instead of just red, green, purple or whatever. I mean,
Oh well. I mean, It
'Cause,
basically,
I mean, can you at least
no,
learn
it's
to play a
basically-
chart off of that?
Yeah. It's basically like reading guitar tab.
Yeah, it must be scrolling
It's basically
like
like a
tab
big-
chart
big
past
scrolling
for you to-
guitar
But
tab.
the piano one, you're not going to
No,
eventually get the sheet music for.
No, the piano one that's what I was talking about, specifically the piano.
Okay.
But even guitar tab doesn't teach you anything about theory. That's the thing. Even guitar tab, just not related to Rock Band, it still doesn't teach you anything.
But you
about
at least
theory.
are learning the names of the
Yes,
chords you're playing,
yeah,
and things,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that you can then
Right.
talk to someone smart about it, like someone who's musically trained
Yeah.
or knowledgeable.
I don't know if they put chord names in there.
See, why the hell not? Why not eventually just say this symbol represents
Maybe
this?
there's an option. I don't know. I can't. I don't want to say because I don't know.
Because it's something that I think we talked about briefly when this stuff was first announced, but I think it's really cool that it's not actually cool. It's kind of dumb, but it's odd that Rock Band at this point is literally 100% going the realm of fantasy, or Guitar Hero is 100% going the realm of fantasy. Where their next game is literally you play as a rock god in a fantasy world, and then Rock Band is literally saying no. You can just be a regular guy who learns how to play a guitar. I think it's
awesome.
It's really cool because those games
yeah.
were identical for a while, and then the split is just like the most
Yeah.
fucking pronounced thing ever.
It really,
Rock
it
Band
really
is like-
highlights how much harmonics is a
This is
mission-driven
real
company.
music, and we will teach you how to play it.
Yeah,
and you'll be the guy
and
that's playing
the drums
music.
are cool now. The drums, they have the extra cymbals, and so you actually now it's still not quite the same as playing a real drum set, but it's fucking close.
But that makes me wish that now they're so close that I do want them to go the one extra step and like do unlock the chord names for the guitar thing, so you are actually just reading the tabs, or like with the piano.
Well,
if
tab doesn't necessarily include chord names. That's
Really?
what I'm saying. No.
Okay.
Tab is literally
shows you where to put your fingers.
put your finger on this fret. That's what tab
then-
is. That's all it is.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess the only times I've ever actually encountered guitar tabs are when I took like a jazz music class in college, and at that point they did always
Right.
it would always list that stuff
Yeah.
because everyone had to play off of a chart.
If you assume that the person reading the tab knows how to read a chord, then you can just put chord names on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rock Band 3, it's a crazy, awesome, weird thing. It's a weird thing. And I hope a bunch of people actually get the guitar, and I hope it actually works. It's always difficult for me to really judge how something is going to play to someone who, like, how much something's actually going to educate you. Because I know there are people who have told me, they've played the drums and they worked all the way up to expert drums, and then they sat down in front of a real drum set and they still didn't really know what to do.
Sean, you had a friend who picked up the drums from Rock Band and then started taking drum lessons, right?
Yeah, my buddy Vincent.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure there are plenty of people like that. And hopefully the guitar is just such a weird thing, but hopefully it works. I haven't played the real guitar. I've only played the pro one, but it's cool. Anyway.
I haven't played a real guitar. I've just played the pro guitar.
Yeah. So that was that reader mail, I guess. Jim Hunter writes, Super Splode. You guys were talking about how Portal 2 has great
I don't know if that
non-destructive
has
cues
anything
to assist with co-op. Have you checked out XBLA's Splosion Man? There's a very involved co-op mode, including the ability to trigger a countdown to tell your cohorts when to explode. Pretty great. Twisted Pixel's a hell of a company. Keep up the awesome, Jim. Have any of you guys played Splosion Man?
I played the demo of it.
My little sister played it, so we should get her on here, I guess.
Sweet.
She
Fly her
likes
in
it.
here for this.
Yeah, we'll fly her
reader
in.
mail.
Yeah, but
We haven't played it.
nope.
Yeah.
But
I played them all, which was the first game by those guys. It was fun.
I didn't like the same thing about both of those games, which was that mostly you were just eradicating innocent things. And the same thing with Splosion Man. It's just like there's scientists running around and it's like, explode them for jokes. And I'm like, they're just dudes.
They went
I
to
don't know.
college.
I mean, obviously,
They have PhDs.
it's not supposed to be grim or anything at all. Like they explode into like steaks and stuff, but it's just sort of like
I love
that's just
steak.
a idea that
You
is
thought
not
of all the
Steve
ways
doesn't
of
love
life.
I don't know,
Jake
it's
loves
just sort of
steak.
like, I don't
Steve
know.
hates steak, though.
It's also true.
I ate that.
Jake
tasty
only
steak.
eats-
Don't you play a
steak
lot of
while
video
wearing a
games where you
suit,
kill
though.
lots of innocent guards everywhere all the time?
Yeah, but
What
those are
about
evil,
spicers?
and it's a sweet takedown.
No, but I mean,
Those splicers are
know.
just hanging.
No, they want to kill you,
No, but they were just regular guys before they got
well, you guys
sucked
have,
into the
but they see you and
into the
start shooting
commercial
at you.
enterprise of
In-
splicing.
the
in-
tragic
there's
story of the
junkies.
splicer.
but I mean,
that's like-
I don't know.
No, but in
Basically,
Maw-
killing a splicer is like going onto the street and killing a homeless person. So
what about like Metal Gear Solid or
exact
Alpha
same.
Protocol or like a million other games where you just murder tons of dudes who are just basically.
What about
paid to-
Mario? Does Mario not
I like
stop
that
the
one
Goomba?
person on
Violence
the
runs
podcast
rampant.
says one
what-
thing
that's what I'm talking
incendiary,
about.
and then the other
I was
three
just
come
quoting
down
you,
on them.
Chris.
I don't think it's a fair parallel at all. I mean, just like due to the context, an armed dude that has signed up to guard a dangerous installation, like whatever, you ace that guy. And in the Maw, it's like there's literally just like nice animal walking around, and you just have to like tear them apart and eat them.
Yeah, I would say to me, Even though
I
even
don't
even
kill
though-
totally ambient things in games. I never fucked with any of the animals in
Yeah.
Far Cry 2.
the difference.
I don't go around just
No,
like
I know what you're saying.
eradicating civilians in GTA, but obviously I kill all of the gang dudes or whoever you have to fight.
I guess to me, it's sort of different in that I did get that vibe from the Maw, but it didn't turn me off from the game, I guess, just because the whole thing is so abstract and non-representative. It's like, this isn't... to me, it's like I actually have more of a problem with it in games like Uncharted or something, where it's like this is like an actual realistic world. These are humans that are like real dudes who, yeah, they might be paid to maybe get killed, but you're still killing them. I mean, like that doesn't. To me, that's not like a moral justification. Not to say I don't play games where I do that all the time. I do, but to me, it is always in the back of my mind as a more objectionable thing.
Well, I mean, like in Alpha Protocol, you would lose reputation with your dude if you just killed like the museum guards or whatever
Right,
because they
yeah.
were innocent civilians, but
Right.
then the terrorist guys, you
Yeah.
ace them and nobody cares, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, I think there's a line there, but it's a little different than just sort of like blow up innocent creature for giggles.
That's fair enough. I did get a bit of that
I
vibe
just
from
don't
that
dig
game.
it.
Yeah.
What if they turned into stakes, the museum guard? Would that be acceptable?
Then I'd eat the steaks.
Okay. I think that might be an interesting creative choice. If in Uncharted you threw a guy off a cliff and he landed and it became a steak.
And then you went down there and ate it for your HPs.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
I mean, that sounds like a grasshopper game, basically.
Yeah.
yeah, I like
That's like the kind of weird subversion that those
Where in
guys
God
love.
Hand they turn into a
Oh yeah, that is
strawberry.
true. Actually, yeah, that did happen in God Hand, which was Clover, I guess.
Giant orange.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
So what's
I
next,
guess
Chris?
yeah, God Hand
That's
just had
probably enough
grasshopper
mail. We
music
actually
playing.
didn't get a lot of mail this week.
Oh, just Jim and our
Questions at idlethumbs.net.
5 Wizard on. Oh,
No, that's not
At idlethumbs.net. Questions at idlethumbs.net.
So if you know anything about
Or
Willy
check out our
Beamish,
forums at forum.idlethumbs.net.
/ Gunga Galunga.
/ I kill you.
Ah.
Bye.
oh, is it over? I was just warming up. But I mean, when are we gonna do the other segment? The what you playing and then the
Video games. Maybe it's
Rayman.
like, Rayman Origins and then like the fall of Rayman and then Rayman Rising.
How about Rayman the Reckoning? After
Rayman the
Fall
Reckoning,
of
yeah.
Rayman.
Well, Rising could also be like the webisode that comes out before, where you learn about the mission that brought him to the facility that is worthless actually, and is
I
written
kind
by
of feel
some
like
comic
Rising
artist.
is when he figures out how to use his disembodied hands and feet to their maximum
That's
potential.
true. Well, if it was Rayman Origins : villain stupid organization Rising, then it could be the webisode.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Rayman
yeah.
Origins. Yeah.
Forearm Stealer Inc.
Yeah.
It would be a really obvious like mythological reference. Like Apollo Quadrant Rising or something.
I think it would have to be one word.
Well, it could be Rise of the Apollo Quadrant, like assuming
That's
that
true.
there's that. Sorry, it's a very specific stupid style of. We're just gonna assume that
The Apollo Syndicate.
what this fucking thing
Yeah.
is and name our bullshit.
Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow.
Yeah.
When?
Fear Perseus Mandate.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one to the max.
Perseus.
Only an idiot would work on that game.
We got handed that by Vivendi.
Only an idiot would be handed that.
Oh fuck! I'm an idiot.
Idiot.
Like I
All
shouldn't
right.
say.
I'll put in wizard.
You're a wizard. I really mean you're a wizard.
No, I fucking mean it. You're a wizard. That's fine.
No, never
Well,
before have I seen a podcast with such vigor and spunk.